And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here with us this morning and every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And very happy to be here inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. Great Lakes Honda City has been with us now for, I believe, this is year 11, or year 10, pardon me. I want to thank Great Lakes Honda City for all the work that we have done together and everything that we've been able to do in this community. I know I was talking about this last night with Malik Burks from Great Lakes Honda City, and the whole notion of one thing that people can't stand doing is going to buy a car because they feel like no one's going to be honest to them. And Great Lakes Honda City being with us for as long as they have and working with me, that is where I get my vehicles. You know, if you see a logo on the show, they're a part of the family, and I can't tell you to go do something that I wouldn't do myself. So my 2025 Honda's been good to me, and so has Great Lakes Honda City. You can go and get all of their information on their new and used inventory by going to greatlakeshondacity.com, and you can visit them Monday through Saturday for sales and service at 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. So big time shout out to them. Here, up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe, you are finding Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora wherever you are in the nooks and crannies of life on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. So we appreciate you being with us wherever you are, and we thank everybody around the world. With that being said, inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'? We're starting off the show here in hour number one with my good friend of many years, Mr. Scottie Rodgers, the Vice President of Communications for the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic inside the college football playoff. He'll be joining us to speak on his journey, recent honors, and where sports meets life, which is our tagline here on the show that Scottie embodies so well all throughout his life and for as long as I've known him. So we'll talk about that coming up here this morning. Then we'll jump into an all-new Bearcat Breakroom and our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Binghamton University Bearcats. That featuring Marcus Johnson of Binghamton Track, fresh off of his time inside of the NCAAs on the national stage and ahead of the USA Track and Field Outdoor Championships. And you'll definitely get to hear that there's more to come for Marcus Johnson. He is not done. It's just one chapter is done and a new one is beginning. Very excited for you to hear his story. And we'll round out with the ingredients to success, proudly presented by Avicolli's. And honoring my grandmother today, we are actually going to go back to Avicolli's as a family because that's where we brought her for Mother's Day just a short while ago. Today's topic for the ingredients to success is outside noise. So that's all coming up here on the broadcast. We are picture in picture with Scottie Rodgers, once again the Vice President of Communications at the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. Scottie, first and foremost, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Dan.
Of course, and it's my honor and my privilege. I want to congratulate you, Scottie. I know that it feels like there's an award that came in and then there's other awards that come in. I feel like I've seen your picture next to an award often in these last few months, but I do want to give you a congratulations for the 2025 Special Awards salute that you have in two awards. First and foremost, going into the College Sports Commission Hall of Fame, and then for having the Mary Jo Haverbeck Trailblazer Award. So I want to congratulate you for both of those, and I know that you crossed paths with Mary Jo, so I know that that award itself is extra special.
It really is. I had the pleasure of meeting Mary Jo during her time at Penn State when I took over overseeing media operations for the Division I Women's Basketball Championship at the NCAA National Office in Indianapolis. She and several other longtime friends were on the media coordination committee. They were already a part of it, so I quote unquote inherited them. But such a wonderful group, and Mary Jo was at the center of that, and to now here in 2025 get an award named after her because she was a trailblazer in our business. You know, College Sports Communicators, previously known as COSIDA. It's unbelievable the work that she was able to do and the impact that she was able to make and now leave, and to get an award named after her is definitely extra special. And then to go into the CSC Hall of Fame is almost beyond words. I don't think I've really worked in my career to get awards. I definitely have not made that a target, especially going into a Hall of Fame, because a Hall of Fame is looking at the whole body of work, and really for me that body of work is not only the jobs I've had and the things I've been able to do in those jobs, but the impact on the organization. I've been very active in the organization since I really went to my first convention, going all the way back to 1996. So I really just have tried to be good to people, do good things, try to make a positive impact, leave a positive impact, and do the best I can with the skills I've been given.
Yeah, and I do want to. My brain is obviously still on this House settlement. I said College Sports Commission. I meant College Sports Communicators. So thank you for that and giving us a background on Mary Jo. And like you said, you didn't get out here with the intent of being in this career to get awards, but those awards have come. Is it surprising to you when these moments happen because you're not someone that is seeking the limelight and seeking the pat on the back? You're out here being yourself, being Scottie Rodgers, doing things the best way that you feel you know how from what you've learned and the person that you are. So when these happen, what is the reaction for you when they call you up and say, hey, we want to present you with something?
First and foremost, I try to be humble. Look, I'd be lying if I saying I'm not appreciative and happy to receive awards. Everybody wants accolades. Everybody wants to be recognized for the work that they do. I'm no different than anybody else when it comes to that. But to say that I spend time doing my job thinking, oh, if I do this well, then maybe I'll get an award. That's just not been the intent the way that I've done it. If you do your job well, you treat people well, and you just try to be an overall good person. I've not been perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but but when you can do that and do it consistently and do it across the various places, I've been very fortunate to have a career that's taken me to different places that have had different types of jobs, and because of that, in addition to the impact of the organization, I've looked back and, this is my 30th year working in college athletics in a full-time capacity. And I've been engaged with COSIDA CSC since going to my first convention. I think every year except for one, I've been on a committee. I've been to 29 conventions in that 30 years. And I think I've been on a committee of some type for 28 of those 29 years, of that total 30. And that's because, just being engaged and wanting to get to know and try to have an impact and frankly have some fun in it. Many of the years I was on our what we called our social committee at the time for CSC that helped with some various things around the convention. And in previous years, I'm on the special awards committee. I've been on our D1 cabinet. One of the pride and joys I have in the work that I've been doing with CSC is being an original member of our Diversity and Inclusion Committee in 2017, and now we call our Inclusion Committee, and now serving as chair of that committee after serving as vice chair. So the work that we've done through that, and one of the biggest pieces of the work that we've done through that is our Inclusion Fellowship that we just completed our fourth year, our fourth cohort of our colleagues across the country and trying to give them knowledge, information, background, and an open space to learn to be a better and more inclusive person. Because that's where it starts. Because if you can be a more inclusive person, then you're going to be a more inclusive professional. And I think that's really been the biggest thing that I've really worked on through our organization, and it's been impactful. So, when I found out I was getting I've been blessed to get a couple of awards prior to this. I got the President's Award twice
Yeah.
and my 25-year award. But to come into this year and to get two awards at the same time, and one of which being in the Hall of Fame and one of which being named after Mary Jo, it's been a reflective year. I found out, as you probably know, Dan, it was a crazy week early in this year when,
Yeah.
all this stuff got announced the same week as our bowl game, the same week as my birthday, and which was game day for our 89th Classic. So that was a crazy week with all the weather and all the issues that we had going on around the game.
Yeah.
At that same time, these accolades were getting announced, which was, was very humbling. But honestly, at that time, I had to kind of put it aside because I had a job to do, and we had a big job to do with a college football playoff semifinal game in Ohio State and Texas. coming in prime time under the bright lights. That was the focus. So I needed to make sure to focus on that. And I knew I was going to have time, after that and leading up to the ceremony that's happened a couple weeks ago to reflect on that. In fact, I was able to do and celebrate that and with family, with friends. It was unbelievable. Have family come in town, have friends. Many are in the business, several are not in the business, and they took time out of their busy schedules to fly down and be a part of that weekend and those couple 3 days was just fantastic. I do have to show you something though, because I did something.
Yeah.
Uh, you probably saw the video, but I wanted to bring it on here to show it to you. But I thought about going into the Hall of Fame. I knew I had to do something special, so I had this jacket made, and it's got all the
Oh,
logos,
that's awesome.
all the places that I've worked up to this point. And it was really something I wanted to have to not only be a showcase piece, but something to show people and remind myself of the places and the journey that I went on, because I've been very fortunate to go be at all those places and hopefully to have left them better than I found them. And here at the Goodyear Combo Classic, I still got a lot of miles to go before I sleep. So, I'm excited about getting an honor, but I know I got a lot of road left ahead in my career.
And I love that, and again, our bond, our connection on and off the field, so to speak, miles to go before you sleep and promises to keep. And that book and that quote, Floyd Little, good friend of mine who is up in heaven, and I got to spend a lot of time with him over a long span, probably 8 years before he had passed. And so promises to keep, that quote that you just said, one of his favorite quotes to share with everybody, and I can definitely appreciate and respect that and feel like he's here today when you said something like that. But I love the jacket, and the thing is, Scottie, and this is something that I've seen in you, and I just really take to it, and I appreciate it. You enjoy what you do, and like you said, I still have miles to go before I sleep. That excitement, that kid like spirit, and just behavior, right? Like, I think the best adults are the ones that are the big kids. And for you to put together a suit like that and to have all those logos, I feel like that's something that, yeah, you show. And like you said, you put it in a showcase and it's out there and people can see it. But I think it's also a reflection to your younger self to say, hey, you banked on yourself. You bet on yourself. You believed in yourself. And this is what I have to show you now. And so I love to go a little bit deeper in that kid spirit that you have, that excitement and that fervor that you have to go out there and do what you do, and to kind of reflect on that and reflect on your journey to your younger self and say, like, this is what we believed in. This is how far we've come. We still have more road to take.
I go all the way back, and I say this all the time. I'm a short guy. I'm 5'6". Unfortunately, my athletic ability was very limited, and I knew early on that playing sports, which I love to do, was just not going to be in the cards for me. And once I got to that realization, opportunities got presented to be around sports in a different way, starting writing for my high school paper, to then writing for my hometown paper, and then going into deciding to major in journalism at Alabama, to get an opportunity to work in the then sports information, now athletic communications office there as a starting as the start of my sophomore year. Those opportunities really gave me a chance to see that there was so much more, and there was so much out there related to the world of sports that had nothing to do with playing or coaching or even being a broadcaster. There's so many sides, and I speak to a lot of groups, and several times I get the opportunity to speak to younger groups, and I tell them, in the world of sports, whatever your passion might be in life, you can do it in sports. You like to draw, you can find a way to do graphic design in sports.
Yeah.
You like to build, you can get into construction and the facility and capital campaigns and building, whether it's on the building side or on the management side. You like to do math, and you like to do those types of things. You can get in on the business side and accounting, those types of things. You want to get into the medical side, well, through the wellness, athletic training, you can do that. And for me, coming through on the kind of the journalistic communication side, there's a wealth of opportunity that comes in as relates to that. And that's
Yeah.
where, I found a passion for. I didn't grow up necessarily thinking that I was going to be a journalist or be a communications person. I was more of a math and science person growing up and in school, and that's where, I kind of leaned into. I was pretty deep, pretty good at it at times. And but then this opportunity presented itself, and then I was able to marry. Okay, I have a budding skill in being a journalist, and I have a lot of passion for being around sports. Now I'm able to bring those two things together in a way that allowed me to do that. And then when I saw the access to the events, starting as a student and then moving on to my first job at the Southeastern Conference office, where I got to do a number of different things. I got to be involved on major events and seeing the insides of them and learning how they work and how I can impact them in a positive way. There's so many little things that people don't see and don't hear. They ask about, well, your bowl game is only one day a year, and bowl week is a week a year. What do you do all the other time? Well, all those things just don't happen because, oh, the game's coming up and we decide to, get ourselves together to run a game. There's so many meetings and conversations and plannings and documents and procedures and policies and directions and timelines and things like that are put together to
Yeah.
help bring all that together. And there's so much collaboration that has to happen across so many different people, so many different companies, so many different entities that it takes a lot of time to make that happen and make it seem seamless. And it's never perfect. There's not a sporting event that's happened in this world ever that has come off perfectly. There's been many, many, many that has happened very well, and I've been a part of several of them. But there's always something that you can improve. There's always something that you can fix and be better. There's always something that you can try to hope to take from one level to the next level, and that's what you learn in this business. And I think that the kid like is beyond working in sports, I'm a sports fan. So
Yeah.
people ask me a lot of times, well, what do you do in your free time? Watch games. I
Yeah.
watch games sometimes for fun because
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about the things I have to worry about. Now, when I'm watching those games, many times I'm not looking at the actual competition of the game. I'm looking at what's going on whether it's courtside or what's going on the field, what's going on with the broadcast, what's going on with how they're presenting the game and those types of things and the signage and those types of things. It's crazy, but that's just a part of when it gets in your brain like that. That's what you end up doing quite a bit when you're watching a sporting event. Yes, I enjoy the sports. Yes, I enjoy the competition. Yes, I enjoy the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat and all those cliches that you hear when you talk about watching sports. But the biggest thing is that I really enjoy just the whole bigness of it because sports, there everything happens in sports, and when you're working in this business, there was a phrase that was said at the convention that was a reminder that this is not a job, it's not even a career, it's a lifestyle. You have to
Yeah.
integrate working in sports in your overall lifestyle if you're going to be successful, to be frankly honest with you, because it takes up so much of your time. You do so much in it. You travel a lot at times. So you have to be able to manage it in a way that it integrates into your lifestyle so that you can still have other aspects of your lifestyle that is not sports, but they marry to, they complement, and then you can able to do it in such a way that you can have as best balanced life as you can.
Well, yeah, and you said it, Scotty. I mean, it's a part of your life. You and I were talking about it off the air. I said I went on vacation. I was down in Florida for a couple weeks. I saw family. I went down with my mom. I saw my family down in Florida. I saw friends, but I utilized that. We still did wake up call in the morning for sports. We did super powered pop and covered Universal Epic Universe in the first 2 weeks of that opening, and then do Diz with Dan. We did our Disney show, and so to like you were talking about when people say like what are you doing or what are you doing for fun, I was like, well, my fun is my job. I'm at the park, but then I'm reviewing different things. I'm looking at different, like you said, you watch and you look at the field and what is the signage and this and that. I'm looking at how realistic is this. Does each land in the epic universe look the same? Does one look like it took a little more, they took some more time on it? and made it more authentic. What is the experience like? Do I feel like I'm immersed in this? Does this make sense to me? I don't know this as well as this other thing, but can I still feel like I'm a part of it if I haven't read this book or haven't watched this movie? So we are constantly thinking, and it is constantly a part of our life. How have you integrated it and found? I know you talked about balance. How have you done with integrating what you love and your job into your life, making this a lifestyle? And have you found a balance that you feel makes sense for you?
Many times, when you go on a vacation somewhere, there might be a sporting event to go to, just for fun, for whether it's going to see a baseball game or going to see a football game. I mean, just the other day, I went and saw the CONCACAF Gold Cup matches at AT&T Stadium, where I work. But
Yeah.
I went there for fun. I was able to go on a ticket and I was able to walk around, but went and sit there and watch some great soccer. But while I was there, I was looking around. They have the boards there around the field. They have the grass on the field, which is unique to be inside the stadium. Just looking at those types of things and how things are presented. As you're walking the concourse and see what little things, because many times we pick up little nuggets from other events
Yeah.
that even when you're there for fun, you pick up a little nugget, you pick up a little, oh, I love how they did this, and you make note of it, or you take a video or a picture of it, and then you go back into the office, the next time you're in the office and say, hey, you know what, I saw this at X event, I think this might be something that might be really good for us. And even when you're not thinking about and you're having fun and you're not on the job, you can pick up little things. And many times that's when your brain is kind of open and receptive to that because you're not in the work mode and you want things to happen. You're kind of freely thinking. You're just kind of being a part of a great sporting event. And especially when you go to something like, an international soccer match where you see people who are coming in who are representing their home countries and or just are international sports fans and you're just able to be there and be a part of what they're doing and what they are experiencing and that's very cool. So and I think the other piece, and I've said this in a couple other things, is that I have a lot of great friends that I spend a lot of time around and we have working, but those friends, those colleagues have turned into friends, and those friends, we go on vacations together. We go work events together. So you figure out a way to have some fun in the middle of work. You can go to an event and work the event together in such a way. And then when you're not working, the few hours that you're not working, you're able to have some fun time with them to experience the city, go out and have a dinner, go to a Universal if you're in Orlando or something like that. I think those types of things are fun to do, and that's how you have to find the little moments in time and the little opportunities that are presented to you to have some fun and integrate some social time and some personal time within wrapped around whether you're working an event or you're at a conference or a convention.
Yeah.
Those are the types of things you have to do because those are the moments that are given to you. And instead of being upset about not having all the free time that you want, you have to pour into the fact that I got this time. So you know what? I'm gonna make the best of it with the people that are around me and surrounding yourself with great people when you're doing those things.
Yeah, I think to that point, AT&T Stadium, the home of the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, and so much more. When I was down there, I got down there early a couple of years ago, and my hotel was overlooking Six Flags Over Texas. And I said, well, I guess I'm going to Six Flags. Like, I guess I'm going to experience that. And I went on the tour in downtown Dallas, and I went on the John F. Kennedy tour, and we talked about everything that happened. And it was hours of breaking it down, things I didn't even know about, things I didn't even know were a part of leading up to that day, that fateful day, and everything that happened. So the experience of getting, and I try to do that, Scotty, I'm sure you do too. I try to get to a place that I have an event. I try to get there early, and I allow myself the opportunity to discover their food, to go and do something that's unique. And that's what I'll tell my mom and dad. I'm like, I want to do something in the community that I can't do at home. So I found that tour, for the JFK tour in Dallas. I find different things to do while I'm there, different places to try. I just spoke about the college football playoff national championship that was in Atlanta earlier this year, and the fact that I found a really good place for nachos. And it's really, I love nachos, hard place to find a good place that has something like that. And Tin Lizzie's in Atlanta, that is really close to the stadium, it's an awesome place for nachos. The prices are good, the atmosphere is great. So, just things like that to tell people, like, hey, when you go to this city, then, I suggest that. And Scotty, for you getting to travel so much and getting to experience so many different things, and I can live with you in that world, how fun is that for you when you're in a conversation with a friend or a family member and they're like, oh, I got to go out to, San Diego, or I got something going on in Orlando, and that you can say, hey, well, if you're going to be there for a couple days, I know this event's going on. This is a good team to go and see. I really like the food over here. I think that you should try and experience this, to be able to kind of give people the extra pieces and the, hey, if you got a few minutes, if you got an extra day, do that. How much fun is that for you to impart your journey and what you've experienced onto other people's lives and say, this is the food that's there, these are the different things that you could do there, here's the natural stuff that you can just go and walk and enjoy if you're in this city or town?
That's really great because then that's another place that you can share with your friends because maybe you're going to a place that they've been to and you reach out and say, "Hey, didn't you go to Orlando in the last couple of months?" "Yeah, I went to this restaurant. I went to see this experience. I went to this attraction. Go check that out." And the other thing that's cool, and when it comes times to some places, hey, you have friends that live either in that town or in that area, and you say, "Hey, look, I'm in town for this trip. Can you come by the hotel and meet for lunch or dinner or happy hour or whatever the case may be?" And that's a great thing that you can be able to do. I'll give you a perfect example. Earlier this year, I worked the first, second rounds out in Denver, and for my friends out in the Mountain West, and that was a great time. But while I was out there, I was able to sit down and have breakfast with Carl Benson, my boss, who hired me at the Sunbelt Conference office, and I also was able to go over to the University of Denver and spend time with Brandon McNeil, who helped hire me at Tulane. And Brandon's on the senior staff at the athletic department at the University of Denver, and I was able to go over and see him, and he walked me around campus and showed me their buildings and talked about some of their capital projects they have upcoming, some that are completed, some that are hopefully on the table for the future, and just seeing how their athletic department was set up. That was fun for me to be able to go and spend time with them because those are two individuals that had an impact on my career. Had nothing to do with working the games out there at the out in Denver, but it was a great opportunity for me to catch up with people that have that mean something to me that have impacted my life both professionally and personally. And those are the types of things. And when you have those trips, you got to be able to, when the opportunity presents itself, you got to be able to squeeze those in because they're really, really important. I think to make sure that you take advantage of that because that means you don't have to go back out there again on another trip because that second trip to the same city may not be in the cards because of your travel, because of your work obligations. So you're able to kind of combine it all into one trip, and I think those are the fun things to do. And look, when you have a lot of friends and a lot of people that work in the business, there many of them are experts on a lot of different places. So when you go somewhere, you can pick up the phone or you can send a text or you can send an email to a great friend and say, "Hey, I'm going to X city. I'm going to X area. Can you tell me a little bit about it?" And many times they have a list of places
Yeah.
or at least a handful that they can give you as far as restaurants, attractions, experiences to go check out. And if you can fit one of those or a couple of those in your schedule while you're in that place, you're better for it because you got to go do your work. You got to go work an event. You got to do the thing that you needed to do for your job, but yet you're also able to do something that enriches you personally. And in many cases, you get to connect with some long lost friends or family or able to experience something that you haven't been able to experience before.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, you never know I mean, living in the moment, right? You never know if you're going to go back somewhere again, if you're going to be able to experience that thing twice. You've had so many different experiences, and I find it funny how God works. And I always call them God incidences, I don't call them coincidences. And I'm there on the call on Zoom for the American Athletic Conference Media Day for basketball, and I hear this voice. We go into the room and we're getting ready to do interviews, and there's a moderator, and I hear this very familiar voice, and I'm like, that's Scottie. So I mean, Scottie, you kind of you show up in all of these different places, and like you said, helping out the tournament in Denver, doing the American Athletic Media Days and whatnot. Have have you ever kind of taken a moment in a given year and taken a step back and looked at where you've been and what you've done? Because from my point of view, I'm kind of in the position now of thought that at any given time I could hear the voice of Scottie Rodgers and be like, oh, he's out here now. So I mean, have you experienced that? Have you kind of lived in that for a moment? Because on my side, it just shows me how small once again the sports world is. That you've been on calls that I didn't think we would cross paths in that moment, and here you are. But I will say this to your credit: when I hear Scottie Rodgers' voice on a Zoom call or in an event or whatever's going on, I know it's going to be professional. I know it's going to be carried fairly, and I know it's going to be done with the utmost like when it comes to professionalism, respect for whatever's going on, knowledge, wisdom, all of that comes into it. So I know when I hear, and I'm not saying this because we're talking right now, but I know when I hear your name connected to something that we are going to be in good hands is essentially what I'm saying.
Well, I'll give you a great backstory to what you're talking about with the American Basketball Media Day. I get a reach out on that Friday, a couple of days before, from Chuck Sullivan, who's a friend, somebody I've known in the business for many, many years.
Yeah.
He reached out and said, "Hey, we've had some schedule conflicts and things like that, and we need somebody to moderate the Zoom portion of our media day and the interview portion." And it's like, "Would you be available to do it?" And I went to my bosses and asked them, I said, "Hey, you know what? The American needs something. Oh, by the way, coincidentally, their media day is happening in the same hotel as our media hotel for the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic." So, not only did I know how to manage things on Zoom, but it was in a familiar place, not far from in Irving, not far from where I am here in Arlington. And they were like, "Yeah, go help them out." So I absolutely went over there and helped out. My friends in the business needed somebody to step in, and stepped in. Their commissioner, Tim Pernetti, we're former co-workers. We worked at CSTV together, or cross paths when we were there, and we were there around the same time
Yeah.
frame. And, when that happened, I had the availability, they had the need, and I was able to go in and help. And as soon as I got that opportunity, I started making sure that I got myself prepared with pronunciations and exactly what they wanted and how they wanted it done. I have my way of doing certain things, but it's not my event. It is their event. So I want to do it in a way that they want it to be done. Obviously I'm going to put my spin on it, and I appreciate the kind words you talk about professionalism and trying to do it. I'm representing them for those 2 days. I was a representative of the American Athletic Conference, not an employee of the American Athletic Conference, but my job was to represent them the best I can, and be professional for those coaches and student athletes that were getting on the Zoom. So that's what I did, and I made sure behind the scenes I did everything I could to make sure that they had a good experience coming on, getting asked questions. The media, like yourself, had a good experience asking questions and getting the information that you needed to do your job, because many times people don't, they forget about the central thing. The people that are on that call from the media side, that is their job. That is the way they work. That is what they do to put food on their table and clothes on their back. So my job is to make sure to be the facilitator so that they can do that job, so then they can produce the content and help educate the rest of the world about the great goings on of those programs, those student athletes, those coaches, and what they're doing in that particular sport. So, I was able to do that. I was able to help out friends over there at the American Athletic Conference, and I was glad to do it. And there's times when I need that same help, and I have to make that last minute phone call. And and I don't do it just because it's going to get reciprocated somewhere down the road. I do it to help because I know I'm willing to help if there's time, if it's not an inconvenience to my job and my schedule. I'm more than willing to help because I know people will help me and us if the situation presented itself and we needed that same type of assistance. That's really important to me. That's something I've learned in this business. That's how I was taught and brought up in this business, and that has never left me. You always help out folks when you can. And I think that's really important. And I try to drill that into the younger people in the profession as they're coming in, because the people that are around your same age, they become they're your contemporaries. And again, they not only become sometimes coworkers and colleagues, but many of them are going to become friends, and you're going to get to know them on a personal level, and you're going to interact with them quite a bit, and you may become good friends, and not only good friends that you do a lot of work together with, but good friends that you do fun things personally away from the job together. And I think that's the neat thing about working in sports.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, because it's a lifestyle, finding friendships and creating connections and all these things. I mean, that's a part of it. We're doing it so much that because it is your everyday, then finding those moments to say, okay, I know this person, like you said, I know this person in this city, or I've worked with this person a lot. We can go grab a drink, we can go get something to eat together, we can go and do this event together, have some fun together, because you're integrating everything that you are as a human being into this job that you have. Like I tell people all the time, I say it's not a traditional job. It's not work to me. It's just life. You wake up I told my dad, I said, you work 9 to 5. I work 12 to 12. I said, the only time I'm not working is when I'm sleeping, but I'm usually at times dreaming about something. I'll wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, Scotty. And, the pen next to the bed and the napkin, or the back of the envelope, some of the best stuff is written on that in those moments of saying, I want to do that. This is an idea I have for a business that I work with. This is an idea that I have for a new show that I'm working on. This is something I want to integrate. This is a new segment that I want to do. And so when you're in this, and like you said, opportunities arise, if you can do it, to reach out and to give it a shot, and to make sure that you're doing the best that you can for that event and what that event entails. That brings me to the art of saying yes. We obviously can't say yes to everything, but that openness to doing something at a moment's notice, to doing something you haven't done before. I'd love to get more of your thoughts on the art of saying yes, the art of being open to opportunity and willing to try something new.
The art of saying yes is built off of the art of saying no, because you also have to learn that you can't say yes to everything. But it's also, I call it no with an asterisk, meaning if somebody asks me to do something and I want to say yes, but because I have to say no, the asterisk is, well, I can't do it. But let me give them two or three names of people that could. Or many times, we are very, very fortunate at the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, especially on our media operations side. So we have a large and loyal group that comes back every year that helps us make our game what it is and how we run our game. I get a lot of asks from people of all different backgrounds and types and ages that ask, "Hey, I would love to come volunteer and help out at your game." And I'd love to say yes to all of them. But the fact of the matter is, I can't, because we just don't have the capacity to do so. But what I do try to do on many times that I say no, I give them the yes. Be like, the yes is, I'm going to help you find an opportunity that you're looking for, because I have to say no, but it's a no with an asterisk, and the asterisk is, hey, you can't work our bowl game because we just don't have a capacity. Hey, you live in this area. Well, there's 3 bowl games in and around that area. Why don't you reach out to this person, and this person, and see if they have an opportunity? Maybe they do, and maybe they don't. I don't know what they may need, but at least I can put you in contact with the right person. But the art of yes, to your original question, comes with some sacrifice. You know, I just mentioned about going out to Denver and working the first, second rounds. I could easily not have done that,
Yeah.
and stayed at home and watched all those games and all the other games in the comforts of my home on the couch. But you know what? I had friends out there that asked me, would I be willing to come out and help out? And I took time to do that. Was that an inconvenience, quote unquote? A little bit. But you know what? I've done it so many times. I know how to do my job in various locales. So
Hmm.
I made sure I had my computer and I could do the things I needed to do, get on the Zooms I needed to get on for work while out there and working those games, and making sure that I kept everything that I needed to keep going in the job, while also being there to help them make sure they ran the best event that they possibly could. And that's the art of saying yes, because I can't do that every year and I can't do that every time I want to, but I do try to pick and choose and help people to do that. And again, also that art of the yes or the no with an asterisk is making sure when I can't do it, giving people names that they can reach out to of someone else who could be that person or might be available or I know is willing, and making that connection so that they can figure out whether it's going to work out to be a part of that event, be able to help out, lend some assistance in some way. I think that's how I try to do it. And yeah, there was many times, I probably said yes when I probably should have said no in the times of my career going up because, saying no probably would have allowed me to not be around as much. But because
Yeah.
of who I am, what it was doing, and just wanted to be involved and engaged, I said yes. And now I can be more selective with my yeses, but again, I can also say no with an asterisk and try to help whoever it might be, whether I know them or not. And say, hey, you know what? I got this person that reached out to me. Let me get you connected to them and see if this person can fill the role or the opportunity that you may have. And many times it happens, many times it doesn't. But at least I made the attempt to try to be helpful, and that's to me at the core of what I try to do.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, it's not just personal. It's not just about you. It's about creating opportunities for other people and having a few names to give to somebody so that that person could have an opportunity to do something special and that it shows the connection that has reached out to you like, hey, this bridge is important to me, and if I can help you in any way, even outside of myself, I will. It's going the extra mile. Essentially, Scottie Rodgers here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, speaking with the Vice President of Communications at the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, and coming on the heels of the College Sports Communicators, two different awards that came through for you. College Sports Communicators. Scotty, we live in a world of communications. I don't think that you can truly be successful in the world that you and I live in without being a good communicator. But there are instances that I'm sure you've experienced and I've experienced where in a communications department, there's a lack thereof. So, what to you do you believe are the pillars of being a good communicator? What are the things from job to job when you look inside of that suit jacket and you look at all the logos and the places that you've been? What do you believe have been the consistent pillars of what it takes to be a good communicator?
Say what you mean and mean what you say. Call a spade and a diamond a diamond. Try to be as direct as you can, but also learning that sometimes you have to communicate a little nuanced. Not
Mm-hmm.
everything can be, hitting people right between the eyes all the time because that may or may not be impactful or effective. You have to learn how to deal with different types of communicators within a communication staff. Not everybody is going to communicate the same way.
Yeah.
Uh, and you have to learn how to try to put people in the best possible position so that they can communicate the best way they know how. And hopefully, as I've learned about myself, and hopefully I've been able to teach others along the way, maybe you help them to um, be better in that part of communications that they are not the best at. so that they can be better in that. And they recognize that that's their, that is their shortcoming as a part of their overall communication strategy and approach. I think that's the biggest thing. In today's world, everything, so much stuff happens on our phones, whether that's through emails or through texting. The phone call doesn't happen as often as it probably should. The communication, although we have created more communication through a vehicle like this, um, that we're on right now because of the pandemic. All of this stuff existed before the pandemic. We just didn't use it to the level that we're using it now over the last 5+ years. And I think that's the key to learning how to communicate in the various places. As a communicator, and you've done this when I was at places where I had to uh, educate people on an interview that we're doing. We would say, hey, if you're sitting down with a newspaper, you communicate this way, or a writer, you communicate this way. If you're going to be on TV, you communicate this way. If you're going to be on radio, you communicate this way because the interview is different.
Yeah.
You need to be more shorter and succinct, maybe in a radio and television interview versus a sit down with a writer where you can be more elaborate because then that person can pick and choose and pull out the things, especially if it's not a live situation. So you have to be knowledgeable about that. And I think the same thing you use to educate the people that you work with to make sure that they do well in an interview, you have to take some of those same tenets into how you create the communication style within your communication staff. Again, not everybody is going to communicate the same way, but you try to learn how they communicate best and hopefully listen to what they're saying and make sure that you understand and then put them in the best possible position. So if you got one person that is this style and somebody else is this style and you're this style and the other person is this style, you can put that together and collectively you have a strong communication approach, not only internal within your staff, but externally to the people that you need to be communicating with, whether you work in an athletic department, in a conference office, or in an organization like a bowl game.
Yeah, and in working with different people who need different things at different times and different ways to communicate, different ways that they understand and will retain that information. What have you learned the most about yourself, Scottie, as you look through these years and everything that you've done and everywhere you've been, from Scottie coming into the business to Scottie right now? What have been those things that you can reflect on and say, I didn't come in with these tools, but I got them now?
Well, just being in assess the situation. You know, history gives you knowledge, and knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And the power is that you have the ability to then assess the situation more quickly now, I am now, than I was able 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And assess the situation, come up with a solution, or know how to navigate the situation fairly quickly to hopefully get it to the right place and leave it in a positive place. Because that's for me, that's all I'm trying to do. I don't leaving something in a negative space, leaving something in a place where it's not gonna be the best possible end result is not what I'm about. So I want to try to leave something in the best possible way. I'm not gonna do everything perfect. I'm not gonna get everything done on everything that I want to do, but the attempt is to try to get it to the best possible place. And that's where I've really tried to focus on the knowledge and the perspective that I have now that I can see a situation and be like, okay, here's a situation. This is not great. This is how we need to handle it. Maybe I need to reach out and talk to somebody sometimes, many times, if there is time, being able to reach out to a close friend or a colleague and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Well, you think this is good? Well, maybe I ought to do this. Or no, you're right on target.
Yeah.
Be able to do that and be able to handle that and not get overly agitated, not escalate it and make it bigger than it is. Many things are big, some things are not, and be able to handle it in the level that it is. And if it's a complicated or difficult situation, handle it in such a way that allows us to move forward. This past year with our bowl game in the '89 Classic, as you know, we had all the weather issues that were floating around.
Yeah.
And early in the week, people thought we wasn't going to be able to play the game, which was never going to be the case,
Yeah.
obviously, because some people still don't know we play our game in an indoor stadium at AT&T Stadium because they see Cotton Bowl and they think about Cotton Bowl Stadium, which obviously we've had a lovely history with, but we just played our 16th game, if I have my math right, in AT&T Stadium. Yes, the safety of people getting to the stadium, everybody from the participants to the bands,
Yeah.
to the media, to the fans. We wanted to make sure that everybody would be safe, could be as safe as possible getting there. But that was a situation where it took some being able to get the message out. We had to put out a couple different messages. And we also didn't need to overreact because I distinctly remember as a part of that process, after we put out the second statement that we put out, and people wanted, well, what are you going to do? And I would just go back and say, read the statement. We just told you exactly what we're going to do. And, and many times when you have a plan like that, you can't really reveal every single thing that you're going to do because that's the whole purpose of having a good plan. Is not everybody knows every aspect of the plan.
Yeah.
So we had to be very strong on the fact that we took time to make a statement that said what it needed to say. And then when people needed that information, we had it to give it to them. And we could stick to that. And then honestly, as I said back then, Mother Nature is undefeated.
Yeah.
So we just had to let Mother Nature take its course as we got into Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to get up to our game on Friday. And yes, the weather was bad in some places, but not nearly as bad as was first thought of on Monday and Tuesday. Because that's just the nature of life. That's just the nature of weather. That's just how it happens. So we had to be able to do that. So that's how, to me, you have to be able to, you know, deal with a situation where it is, not get too high, not get too low, and try to meet it where it is and try to manage it to get it to that positive end result or that completion or place where it can be at rest, so that you can move on. Because when it comes to events, as soon as you get rid of one issue and problem, another one comes up. And that other one may be big, it may be little, it may be somewhere in between. And you have to be ready for it. So that's why it's important to manage those situations in such a way that allows you to move on to the next and be ready for the next. And that's what people who don't work in sports don't understand. All they see is the game is going on. They see the game is happening. No clue of the things that's going on behind the scenes and the things that are happening to get ready for the next thing that is going to happen. And we have to be anticipate things, and then we have to deal with the things that don't exactly go the way that we want to. And that's what I've learned over the course of time. You got to try to have the best even keel as you possibly can. Yes, you're going to get upset at times. Yes, you're going to be disappointed at times and all those things. But for the most part, if you can try to manage it where it is, you're going to handle the situation the best you possibly can. And again, to get it to that place where it needs to so that you can get the even flow back going. You get everything moving in a positive way, and you can get back to hopefully getting the event to that. Especially when you're talking about an event, you can get to that event to the ultimate end and its conclusion. And when you get on the other side of that conclusion, you can look back and say, "Hey, that was a successful event. We had some lumps and bumps in there, but we were able to get it to a great place, and people had a great experience."
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, to your point, you can't. And you had said that going into the event. You said, we can't tell you everything, that we're trying to do here and how we're trying to do it, but trust us in everything that we're planning to put forward to make sure that people are safe, to make sure that this goes on without a hitch, and that we're prepared for whatever can come. The things out of our control, this is how we're going to assess those. The things in our control, this is how we're going to assess those things as well. And once you got into the stadium, as you know, Scottie, I mean, you're running around doing your thing, but once you're in the stadium at AT&T Stadium down in Arlington, Texas, it was the game that was the focus, and everything was right in front of our face. And we weren't thinking about the weather. We weren't thinking about how do we do this and how do we get back to that and what about the flights tomorrow. You were just living in the moment and living in the experience. And it was a fantastic experience, a fantastic game. And as always, the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic came to play. I do, before we jump into rapid fire, where we get to put each other on the hot seat and have some fun with that, Scotty, and see how well we communicate on the fly, I do want to say this year is the 90th Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. And so a monumental moment. Every year is important. But I know talking to you over the years, and we talk about 87, 88, 89. Now we're here in that round number, the 90th, and we know that it's going to be played on December 31st, which is going to be on a Wednesday. We're going to have that on New Year's Eve. We already know the time of that, and we know the place for it. So it's going to be over on ESPN and ESPN Radio, 6:30 p.m. Central Time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, December 31st. What are your thoughts? As I know you're preparing, we talk about how, people say, oh, it's a game, so what do you prepare the week before? And as you mentioned, this is something that's been in preparation for a long time. I'm sure there's different things you're going to do because it is the 90th. So what can you tell us of the excitement and anticipation of the college football playoff quarterfinal that will find us on New Year's Eve back in Arlington, Texas?
While it is the 90th, it's the first because it's the first time we're hosting a college football playoff quarterfinal matchup. So there's a lot of uniqueness around that experience. We haven't had that experience before. Obviously, the 12-team playoff just happened last year. We
Yep.
were a semifinal. So we're going to have some new perspectives as a part of this experience that we didn't have last year. Some similarities, but some differences. And I think that those are the ones that we're preparing for. We probably have a little bit better perspective of the overall flow, even though we were a semifinal last year and we're going to be a quarterfinal this year, but it's going to be different. One of the biggest differences is on Selection Sunday, when the 12-team bracket is announced, we're going to know one of our teams that is absolutely going to be in our game.
Yeah.
And then we will, instead of having to think about five other teams, it's, six teams total who might be in our game, we're really going to be focused on three because we're going to know one. And then there's going to be a matchup between two teams to determine who plays that team in our quarterfinal game. A little bit closer period of time between the announcement and our game, which, like you said, New Year's Eve at 6:30 Central on ESPN and ESPN Radio. So we're gonna have a little bit closer of a turnaround time from actual announcement in our game. We still have that tight window from the times of the days of the first round game. We'll obviously have to figure out which, because there's going to be one game standalone and the three on the second first round game day. So what game, we won't know until the bracket is announced. What game that will feed into our game, and then understanding and knowing. So there were some things that I know we learned from this past year is about communication and trying to get information leading up to, as we get closer to, the announcement of the 12 teams and who might be potentially in our game. Thus, right after the bracket is announced, the communication we'll be able to have with those teams. Obviously, the one team that we know that's coming to our game, that's going to be really important because we're going to be able to go down the road, quite a bit with them to get them ready for their appearance at AT&T Stadium and their time in North Texas. And then the conversations and the communication that will happen with the other two teams who may be in the game as well. So it's going to be a different experience in some respects, and we're excited about that. But you're right, the 90th, when you start getting to a number like that, it really shows the history of this game and what it means to this community and the work that we're able to do via the game and all the things we're able to share via the game, and then use the success of the game to pour back into the community through our Cotton Bowl Foundation. I think that those are is such a unique thing. So, while there's a lot of things that we know about what we need to do to get ready for this game, there's a lot of newness around it too. And that's the exciting part because those are the challenges. And then after this year, we'll know how to be a semifinal. We'll know how to be a quarterfinal. But then we're going to be going into the to the next phase of this in the new 6 year agreement that is yet to be determined how that's going to look, and there's going to be some newness around that too. So we have a lot of things that we know about our game and we know that we want to do, but there are also some new aspects, some new challenges, some new opportunities that we're excited about, and those are the things that we spend a lot of time on here as we get into the ramp up stage of our preparations, getting ready for December.
And this will be the fourth time that we will see the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic on New Year's Eve. We saw the 31st Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic on December 31st, 1966, between Georgia and SMU, a victory for the Bulldogs. The 80th Classic on December 31st, 2015, with the Alabama Crimson Tide's victory over the Michigan State Spartans, and the 86th Classic on December 31st, 2021. Alabama once again, this time a victory over Cincinnati for the Crimson Tide. So with that being said, Scottie, it is time for us to play rapid fire. I am going to defer to you. You can ask me the first question to put me on the hot seat. What do you have?
What is your most favorite thing about Disney?
Good question. Well, I've loved Disney my whole life. So my most favorite thing about Disney, I would say it's kind of a multi-layered answer, but it's the first thing is that when I walk the streets of Magic Kingdom or Epcot or Animal Kingdom or Hollywood Studios, I feel like I'm always walking with the kid me. I feel like that's never gone away. I look at the castle like I'm looking at it for the first time. If you catch me walking on Epcot, I will turn around and look at the Epcot ball probably 4 times. And I used to work there. I worked at Epcot. That was my first job at Disney. So I would just say the no matter how old I get, the same kid walks through the parks every time, is what I would say is my favorite part. My question back to you, Scottie, if I went with you today to Universal Studios, could I get you on the roller coasters?
That is a hard no. I several years ago, I don't even know what year, it's probably knocking on the door 20 years ago, I rode a roller coaster. It was not a great experience. I got off and I was dizzy and I got on my knees and I kissed the ground and I said, when I kissed the ground and I got my equilibrium back, I said, I am never getting on another roller coaster. I've done all I needed to do. I'm hanging it up. It's okay. I'm still a good person because I don't like roller coasters anymore, but I'm just not going to do that. My body is not built for it. I'm okay with it, and I've been okay from that point to this one. So I will stand there as you get on. I will even go through the line with you, and then I will get out and I will go to the exit and wait on you to get off. And if you need me to help you to get yourself together after you get off the roller coaster, I'll help you. Otherwise, no, I am not getting on a roller coaster. Especially at this age, I'm past 50. I got no reason, I got nothing to prove.
I think that is my best Scottie Rodgers quote of all time. I think that's a clip that's going to be out on our social media for sure. And like that shows a good friend. I will get in line with you. I will walk through the line with you. I will be there for you when you get out of the line, and I'll be there if you need me to get through anything. I also like the fact that you said I'm still a good person, even though I don't want to get on roller coasters. What's your second question for me, Scottie?
Um, what is one of your favorite meals to have in what city?
Very good question. I'm going to pick something that I just got to do. So my dad and I made a promise to each other 11 years ago that we would go back to. I'm proud to be in the Hispanic culture, and we have family in Spain, and I'm proud to be Italian. And my dad and I went to Italy just a couple months ago, and we went and got pizza in the birthplace of pizza in Napoli. And those Naples, Italy, Napoli is what they call it overseas. And we went to this one place, and I went back there. I went there 3 days in a row. I got the same pizza I got the margarita pizza. There, I have thought about this pizza every day. My stomach wants the pizza, my eyes want the pizza, my brain wants the pizza, my heart wants that pizza. So I would say if I could snap my fingers or go anywhere right now, I would go to Napoli. I would get the margarita pizza. The birthplace of pizza is well represented. And I will tell you, I absolutely love pizza. I am a Ninja Turtle at heart, and I have great places here in Syracuse. But I would go. I've said I've said this many times. I would fight someone in the Coliseum for some margarita pizza from Napoli. So absolutely that. My question to you, Scotty, in the communications world, if you took over Wake Up Call tomorrow morning and it was Wake Up Call with Scottie Rodgers, what three guests would you have on my show and why?
Ooh, wow. That is dead or alive.
Either. Whatever you want.
Um, okay. Muhammad Ali, I mean, from what he did in sports to what he did in culture and life, like, has to be a story.
Yeah.
I would say in most recent times, I'm an Alabama grad, so I'm going to go Nick Saban, maybe to ask some questions that maybe he doesn't get asked, um, just to have that conversation. And then, there's so many when you think about sports figures and those people. And I've seen some interviews recently with Magic Johnson. I've seen some. I think The Last Dance is getting replayed on the ESPN family of networks, which kind of got me thinking about Jordan and Scottie Pippen and just that whole Bulls run of the '90s. Um, I was able to be in a thing at the Final Four with, and I think it was 2009 in Detroit, and Magic Johnson and Larry Bird was there speaking at an event, and I was just at the event. I didn't get to meet them, but just being in the same room, I thought at that time it's still, and even up to now, it's still pretty cool. The third person I would have to say is. I'm gonna go a different route, and I'm gonna go with Dale Murphy of the Atlanta Braves because he was my favorite baseball player. And my swing when I played baseball, he had this little hitch in his giddy up when he went to bat, and I mimicked that the entirety of my very limited baseball career because I wanted to be as good as he was, and I would never was, but I would go that route because it'd be nice to sit down with someone and have a conversation. When you talk about the childlike, it'd be the kid Scotty doing the interview, not the adult Scotty doing the interview, because I'd be thinking about, all the times in the late '70s and '80s that I watched the Braves, and they were not the greatest baseball franchise at that time, but I watched a lot of them and watched him play.
I love that. And I can appreciate that. Mine to that effect is Damon Stoudemire, and I sent him a letter when I was like 9 years old. My mom helped me with it. Never heard anything back. This was well before social media and computers in the house and phones that could text and all that stuff or do anything other than make a phone call. And all these years later, 29 years later, almost 30 years later, I met Damon Stoudemire at 38 years old, right around my birthday a couple of years ago. I got to interview him and got to talk with him when he was in the TV room at ACC Tip-Off in Charlotte, North Carolina. And then I got to speak with him man to man after. And then I got to do a video with him, with us just there. And it was the kid me the whole time. He shook my hand. He gave me a hug. And I just remember walking away from that moment being like, don't ever let your brain think again the thought, it can't happen to me. I
Yeah.
can't do this because I waited 29 years and now it's right in front of me. And of the 360 whatever men's basketball schools that are in Division One, of all the schools he picked one in the ACC, in a conference you've covered for over a decade. So you know that if the Lord has you alive on that day, you're going to see him. And then the following year, I asked him a question, and he gave such an elaborate, amazing, multi-layered answer that it was just like him and I were talking in the room. There's nobody else there. And the moderator, who's awesome, Trip Durham, him and I were talking. At the end of it, he just kind of looked around the room and said, "Well, Coach, that's all the time that you had." And so I called up my parents. I said, "Well, I got to have a one-on-one with Damon Stoudemire in front of the world," which was very nice. And that's
Very
the way
cool.
God works. So
Very cool. Very cool.
your final question for me, Scotty, you've been so gracious, so I will let you have the last word. What is your final question for me?
If you could interview one person right now without any limitations, who would it be and why? And this has to be someone that is alive now.
Okay. That is a good question. There's so many different ways I feel like I could take this. But I would say I gotta pick somebody that I haven't interviewed. That's tough. I would probably pick there's so many answers that are going through my head right now. But I would say going off of Damon Stoudemire, I have not spoken to my favorite football player of all time. And watching him as a kid, and that's Fred Taylor of the Jacksonville Jaguars, number 28. I know he's got a podcast now, and I think that this would be even more meaningful to talk with him because he's generating his own thoughts, he's generating his own content, he's doing things his own way and trying to affect the world, I think, in his own positive way. And so I absolutely, sitting down with Fred now is not just talking to the football player, it's talking to the business person, it's talking to the innovator and the creator and somebody who has found his own voice beyond football. So I think it would be a really cool conversation to have Kid Me in the room and then have two hosts essentially in the room talking to each other. So I would pick Fred Taylor.
That's a great way. It's amazing the people that, that impact you and that you earn an appreciation for not only as an athlete, but as a person. So great pick.
Well, that being said, I will not put this man back on the hot seat for a final one. He gets to be relieved of the hot seat. But Scottie Rodgers, Vice President of Communications at the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, number 90, comes up this year on New Year's Eve, Wednesday, December 31st, my father's birthday, actually. So with that being said, Mr. Rodgers, it is fun to be in your neighborhood, and it is fun to spend some time with you. And I told you this off the air, but of all the people that I could have on a show today, on a day where I celebrate the life of the best person I know, my G-Mama, my mom's mom, who is up in heaven watching over us now, it is an honor and a privilege because I know that if she was here on this planet right now and she got to meet you, she would love the time. She would appreciate who you are and why you are. So I know that G-Mama is looking down right now saying you picked a good one. So thank you for spending today, which is a very, very special day with me. And as always, thank you for the friendship. Thank you for the kindness, the communication, the professionalism that you bring. And I'm always happy when I get to see you at some point during the year, Scotty. So thank you for being who you are.
Well, the privilege is mine, and I know I'll see you down the road here within the next month.
Absolutely. Well, take care of yourself. Be safe. And I know I'm not going to be surprised if I get on some call somewhere and I hear Scottie Rodgers is here for us today to moderate. I'll be like, of course he is. So, Scotty, I'll talk with you soon.
Absolutely. Take care.
Take care, man. That coming from Scottie Rodgers one more time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. For those of you being patient for our special with Marcus Johnson, I thank you so much. I did not want to end that conversation prematurely, so I hope that you can respect. That is the story of Marcus Johnson. It has just begun, and he has so many wonderful things to share. We will share them right after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Stay with us. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, back here after that fast break inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. It is your home of new and used vehicles all throughout the year, and many of these vehicles, and I want to thank the CRV for over a decade of protecting me in the elements, and so I can't say enough about the CRV. Also, when I was in an accident sitting at a red light in New York City, hit by a drunk driver, and the way that the Honda CRV is built arguably saved my life and at least protected me from being paralyzed. So there's a lot to say about why we work with Honda and Great Lakes Honda City, so thank you to them for the work that they do. We're here in this Bearcat Breakroom with Marcus Johnson, and Marcus comes to us from Binghamton University in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University and the Bearcats from the men's track and field program following 2025 All-America honors and ahead of the USATF. This man has extended, I mean, we talk about graduations done, seasons are over. This man's just not letting Binghamton athletics stop. It's just going to continue on, continue to go into the summer here, which I absolutely love. So, Marcus, I got to say that when we talk about the Olympics and being a torchbearer, you absolutely are bearing the torch for Binghamton University still this year. So congratulations and welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me. I'm excited to be on the show.
And I'm happy to have you here. I was obviously following along with being NCAA bound and different things that came up, and the honors, of course, of being named for All-America. There's so much that's happened here recently, but I want to rewind in order to get to the present. When did track and field, that love, start for you in your life?
I think way back when, maybe starting about high school, maybe even a little bit of middle school, when you first started out doing stuff. Always loved team sports, always played sports growing up. Every season, I think my mom was taking me all around the town, everywhere, soccer, baseball, football, basketball. If we had it, I did it. It was great. Moving into track though, one year I was, let me give it a try. And I like the individual aspect of it. If you had a bad day, you wouldn't blame yourself. But it was kind of good. I kind of see myself athletically develop. I feel like when you get on the track, it's just if you're better or faster than the person next to you, no other excuses. So that kind of continued and developed. But I think it really kind of took off in high school when I was getting faster, getting stronger, and I was like, oh, like there's school records here. Like I'm getting kind of close. Like that'd be cool to have my name up there and seeing myself, grow from season to season. There was no indoor in my school, so it was just outdoor to outdoor. So one year I might run this fast and then I take 2 seconds off. So like, whoa, I'm getting faster. There's something developing here. So it was always exciting to see myself and push myself to the next level, even that stage of the game.
Yeah, and you're coming from Palatine Bridge, New York. For those that don't know the area, can you share with us how you would describe home?
Very small, farm town, very country. Graduating of 70. We were not known for much. Amish people kind of nearby. A lot of just farm arounds, but nice, quaint, tight-knit community. But yeah, definitely different from many people's standard.
Is there, when you think about home, what first comes to mind for you? I know you said it's small, kind of Amish country, but is there something about home that sticks out even in that small town, small area?
I'd just say the community as a whole. I think even as I progress through these stages, like the most recent of regionals, nationals, everyone knows everyone. And growing up, people I think I know everyone in my grade, first and last name. Same thing of the 2 grades above me, 2 grades below me. So if anything goes around, someone hears about it and goes for both good and bad. So, my mom was always keeping in touch, this person reached out. And although my mom couldn't make it to the national meet, there was a little watch party here in town at one of the local restaurants. And I know there was a ton of people there. So that kind of embraced the community. And even just since being home for this past week, I've had a whole bunch of people, hey, congrats, thanks. And it's just, the moment I step outside, it's always just that kindness, and you feel it around you. So I'm very thankful to have it.
Do you like, you said good or bad, when you live in a small town, everybody knows. Do you like that? Did that kind of maybe affect how you grew up, saying, hey, if I go in the right direction or the wrong direction, I'm going to hear about it?
I think maybe a little bit, maybe even if it wasn't consciously, but I think that was always kind of a way to say, hey, put your best foot forward. And I think it's hard to make noise in a bigger, a bigger city and other things like that. So even to make, like little rumbles around the town, it was a good feeling. So it's just kind of that positive reinforcement of okay, do good. And, it's fun to be a, hometown legend, I guess, or even for something this small. So it was great.
And I think it's amazing, and I'm going to do my best right now because pronunciation has always been important to me in my life. Kanajahari, did I get it right?
Nope.
I did not get it right. Kanajahari.
Sorry.
I tried. I looked it up. They gave me some pronunciation, so you say it. Well, how do you say it?
Kanajahari.
Kanajahari. Okay, Kanajahari.
Yes.
Kanajahari.
Yeah.
So I said
call it
Kanajahari, so I was a little bit off there. Okay.
Everyone says it like that, and then they hear it, they're like, what? It's one of those small towns that just can't get it. But
well, you know what? That just goes to show you that the internet's not always right, because I looked up pronunciation on the internet. So, so Kanajahari is your high school. Bring me into life there and what your takeaways were.
Once again, it was. I can't really compare it to anyone else's, but I really enjoyed it. Once again. It's teachers have been there for generations, I feel like. So I have an uncle older than me, so went to high school, same area, but talking to him, he's, oh, you still have this person, still have that person. So it's almost like a giving back to the community, at least with the teachers. Like they've been there for a while, they're very established, and it kind of builds off each other. So it's always nice. And those same teachers would go to the games, or they'd always support. I feel like you have an idea for the small town. Like, although not a lot changes in this town, I will say, I feel like it's pretty base, pretty standardized. You have one teacher leave, someone comes in, but it seems like if you stay here and you enjoy it, it means a lot to you. I feel like there's very often you have someone who's around here who doesn't like where they live. So it's quite nice to have that feeling and that energy around.
Yeah, and having that positive energy and that hometown feel. Like you said, a hometown legend. Looking back at Canajoharie and what you did there, set the school records in the 400 hurdles and triple jump. When you talked about, hey, when you got into it in high school, saying, hey, some of these records are pretty close. Well, you did set the new record for 400 hurdles and triple jump. Placed second at the Eddie meets in the 400 hurdles in your junior year. Finished ninth in the 400 hurdles at the 2019 New York State Outdoor Championships, as well as being a member of the National Honor Society and a New York State Scholar athlete. So in the classroom and in the world of track and field, you were doing it back then. You went to a school that asked you to continue to do both. So what can you say about reliving some of those moments in your high school days of setting the records and then coming to a school that is not just about athletics, but asks you to be a good scholar athlete and care about the scholastic side of things?
Yeah, so initially, even in high school, I never even really thought that track would escalate to the point it has been today. I never really thought of going D1 or doing anything like that. I think the initial part was like, okay, like grades are first. The body might not always be there. You get old, injuries happen. But if there's anything I can count on, it's going to be your brain. So, and I always found I love problem solving. I was a big math guy, math and science. So engineering goes right up my alley. And I was like, let me study for that. Let's get into a good school. And Binghamton just kind of blossomed to be in that sweet zone of everything. You have the education, they had a good engineering school, and they were also Division I track. So I went on a couple D3 visits at the time, and I was talking with the other recruits, like, oh, like, what do you do? And they're like, well, like, why are you looking to go D3? You might be able to go faster. So I was like, okay. So I think I was on that cusp of going D1, but maybe not qualifying for others. So it was that weird leeway. But when choosing schools and deciding whether I want to do athletics, I kind of said, I'd rather bet on myself, have a good school with the potential of going D1, than go to a good school with just selling for D3. So it didn't sit right. I decided to push myself and move to the next stage, and thankfully it all worked out.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, you were looking at some D3 schools, and some people were saying, hey, you might be a little bit faster here. Did you need somebody to tell you that? Did you need somebody to say, hey, like, you might see yourself as going to D3 and not really see yourself as a D1 athlete, but we're seeing it? Was there a voice or two of a coach or a mentor that kind of took you aside and said, like, hey, I think you're maybe shortchanging yourself a little bit?
I don't think necessarily. And I guess a part of that, like, I'll go back to, like, the high school part, is those, like, the records I broke, those were from the 1970s, I think. Like, they were pretty established. So
yeah.
Little to say, there's not many D1 athletes that come out of this small town. So that alone was almost like a shock. So I don't think that was really anyone's initial thought of, oh, like, yeah, you could definitely do it. And it really wasn't on my radar, but especially my mom's been just the biggest inspiration, biggest help since everything. She's always in my corner, always rooting me on. But just talking to her about just the whole college process and what to do. And I think any other D3 school would have been nice, but I think it was also maybe the other parameters for college just didn't really fit. So it might have been too close to home, like this, but it was lacking in another area. But I think also just it didn't sit well with me. Like, I think I got also pretty good in football. Had a couple D3 offers there, and I was like, you know what, wasn't my cup of tea. No. Just I think mentally at that point in life, I'd rather go to a better school with a chance of going D1 or just doing club athletics than being a D3 athlete and doing school as well. So.
And for you, like you said, your mom had you out as a kid. If there was a sport going on, you were playing it. What was the hardest sport to say goodbye to when you really honed in on track and field? Is there one or two that were just really hard to stop?
Surprisingly enough, football. I don't know what it is or the reason behind it. There's a small town love for it. Really, I enjoyed it. I did love it though. I think that was the one I probably complained the most about. Thankfully, I never got hurt or injured while I played in high school, but there'd be times like, like cut the summer short to go practice. You have 2-a-day practices. Oh, we got to go. And it's like 85 degrees. No one's having fun. But when that ended, that was like it was real sentimental. That was one of the only times I teared up over a sport ending. And I was like, what? Like, this is crazy. Out of everything, this is the one. But
What position did you play?
I played wide receiver.
Yeah, and that was going to be my guess at 6'3", and the fact that you can run. So, I mean, did you, when you were out there in the fields, as far as speed, we know that you have that, but route running, getting guys off of you, kind of positioning yourself right, where would you say your other strong suit came from outside of running?
I feel like at that point it was kind of anyone's guess. At that point, I really wasn't developed, and I think I didn't really grow into myself just yet. Like, I probably had the height, but I wasn't as bulky as I am now. I wasn't as maybe well defined. I was pretty awkward in my body at that age. So I think, but overall, if I had to give myself something, it was just probably route running, just the practice. But once I got the ball in open fields, it was good night.
And I could appreciate that coming here from Marcus Johnson this morning on Wake Up Call in this edition of the Bearcat Breakroom here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. I'm going to need you to sit down and relax, and the people watching and listening to do that, because I'm going to read through some history for Marcus Johnson before we get to where we are today. We're going to Tarantino this thing, go backward to go forward. So sophomore season 2021-22, because before this, remember COVID. So 2021-22 competed in 15 meets, all conference honors, third place finish in the triple jump in the America East Indoor Championships, and then placed fourth in the long jump at the conference indoor meet. And as we continue to go through this, member of the America East Commissioners Honor Roll, 3.5 GPA or higher is what you have to have for that. Member of the Spring Athletic Director Honor Roll, 3.3 GPA or higher at Binghamton University. So that's some notes from the sophomore season. The junior season, 2022-23, competing in 6 meets, second in the 500 at the Greg Page Indoor Relays on December 3rd, won the 200 at the Cornell Upstate Indoor Challenge on January 21st of the 2022-23 season, placed second in the triple jump at the Riverhawk Invitational on the 27th and 28th of January, second in the 400 hurdles at the Bucknell Team Challenge, which happened on April 22nd, and also made the Spring AD Honor Roll and was a member of the America East Honor Roll as well. Last season, 2023-24, 25th in the 400 hurdles at the NCAA East Region meet. So made the NCAAs last year and placed 25th when we're talking about national track and field. Won the 400 hurdles and was part of the second place 4x400 relay team at the America East Outdoor Championships. Fourth in the triple jump, ninth in the long jump, part of the first place 4x400 relay at the America East Indoor Championships. Earned all conference honors at the America East Indoor and Outdoor Championships, the America East Men's Field Athlete of the Week on April 9th, and there is more here for the commissioners. Honor Roll for the America East, as well as the Fall and Spring AD Honor Rolls, and all the work that you've done here, including sweeping the long jump and 400 hurdles at the Colonial Relays on April 4th to the 6th. Then we look to this season. Competed in 7 indoor meets and 9 outdoor meets, qualified for the NCAA Championships after placing 7th overall in the 400 hurdles at the NCAA East Region meet, which was on May 28th to the 31st, named the men's most outstanding track performer after winning the 400 hurdles and anchoring first place 4x400 relay team at the America East Outdoor meet, which was May 3rd and 4th, named the America East Men's Track Athlete of the Week on April 15th, won the triple jump, placed 6th in the triple jump, and won the triple jump, placed 6th in the triple jump, and 7th in the long jump at the America East Indoor Championships, part of the third place 4x400 relay at the conference indoor meet, second in the triple jump, and third in the 500 at the season opening Greg Page Relays on December 6th and 7th, third place in the 300 and fourth in the long jump at the Cornell Upstate Challenge on January 18th, won the 200 at the Golden Invitational on January 25th, captured the 500 at the Sykes and Sabick Challenge on February 8th, won the 400 hurdles, second in the triple jump at the Colonial Relays April 2nd to the 4th, and won second in the 400 hurdles was second in the 400 hurdles, I should say, at the Georgia Tech Invitational on April 18th and 19th for 2024-25. I need to drink something after reading all of that off. Marcus, you did a lot in high school. I didn't even read everything of the last 4 seasons, but I read a lot of it here. What is going through your mind as you're sitting there? I mean, in the speed that you have, you probably, at the time that I was speaking, and maybe y'all didn't catch this, but Marcus actually got up, ran to Starbucks, got a coffee. We didn't run to Starbucks down the road. He went to Starbucks in the other town, came back, sat back down, drank it all, but it was so quick he phased through it, you couldn't see it. And by the time I was done, you just thought he was sitting here. What is going on? I mean, this is a pretty nice resume to who I'm going to call Binghamton's Flash.
I appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's kind of funny when you rattling those off. It's even one of the first seasons, saying some of those, I can kind of relive them. I'm like, oh yeah, like I got, this happened that day. Like that's why I got second, or this is, like I remember that race. It's interesting the memory you kind of hold, even though it's a little short burst or take just one jump, or it's 55 seconds or less, or some relay. It's crazy. I hold those moments in memory so dear that it's like whoa. It's although it took like 2-3 minutes, I felt a lot of emotion went through those moments.
So when you reflect on that, and you reflect on, like you said, a few minutes of reading it off, but those moments you can go back and relive, does it feel like it's sped by now that you're looking back on it?
I say some seasons faster than others, but yeah, I think even now it's, ask me 3 years ago, like the end of college, it's never going to happen. I think that's one of those things that once you're in school, it's like, oh, the end's so far out, never even going to consider it. And to be done, to be wrapped up is just like, what? I never thought of the day. And I've seen people come and go, and I'm like, like I'm going to miss them, like made memories with them, and, they're living their lives now, but I never thought that I was going to be part of that. And now it took its course. Time has been taken.
Yeah, and like you said, when you look back on all of this time here and everything that's happened, as fast as it can be read off and as fast as it happens in the moment, have you given yourself time to sit and reflect? Have you had those kind of peaceful moments to yourself to think about some of these pieces of your history, or are you going to wait until everything is officially finished up?
I think you kind of need those moments of reflection to kind of just keep yourself grounded and understand how far you've come sometimes. But unfortunately, I'll say in the past 2-3 weeks when everything's been wrapping up, this is a big end of a chapter for me before starting work, moving, leaving from home, all these things. I haven't really given myself that time to reflect and see how far I've come. I think I was very focused on the most recent me and the most recent results, and I've just been very tunnel vision. And I've been hearing the same phrase over and over again, because unfortunately the national meet ended on a sour note. But I've been hearing people, oh, you've come so far, you should be so proud of all you've accomplished. So I think in recent time it's been like a little stab on my side, like a little annoyance of like, oh yeah. But at the end of the day, they're right. I have come very far. I've barely made it on the team as a walk-on. Like you said, there was the laundry list of achievements and things that I've been through, I've experienced, and I lived it all. I really, I think, did everything I could to be a Bearcat and live it up, and hopefully have my story told for generations to come, God willing. But I think I need to spend a little bit more time to be grateful of my recent experience. But I think as a whole, I'm very grateful for not only the performance, but the people I've met along the way and the people who have helped me to be where I am today.
Who are some of those people?
I think Coach has to be one of them, 100%. Although we started off at a little rough start because he wouldn't let me on the team at first. Everything happened for a reason. But being on that team, it was just like, okay, like I'm finally here. But our relationship has grown so much since this point of, we're able to communicate very well, and I understand his coaching methods and understand it well. So it was an easy mold and easy learning, I'll say, which truly helps. I'll say all the staff and everyone that helps Binghamton run. So strength and conditioning, Lauren Gleason, as well as all the medical trainers that help me along the way. And then all the other department heads. Shout out to my mom as well. I will truly and forever be grateful for her. I think that woman is driven halfway across the country for all my meets, from Virginia to Florida to Boston to anywhere. I think she earned the Parent of the Year award just for being there for everything. And I think she was also someone I can just talk to and relate to for almost anything. After a bad meet, she's always there to hear me out, consult. And so it's just always good to have that positive reinforcement and always have someone counting on me even after a string of bad meets or something doesn't go well. It's good to remember that, I'm here for a reason. I'm being pushed and people believe in me and always help along the way. So always some good notable figures.
And you mentioned your mom, Carrie, a lot here this morning. What have been, they always talk about tools in the toolbox, the things that you gain over time that you can utilize to help you with problems in the future, with things that are going on, to gather those tools so that you can build when you need to build, so that you can, take something down and get rid of it if it's not healthy for you, right? You got to have the nails and the screws, and you got to have the hammers as well, and all these different pieces. What are some of the tools that your mother has given to you that you feel like you consistently are using?
Has to be the mindset. I, like you said, kind of going back to like that, those like you went off the list, and I can remember moments like, yes, this is that. Yeah. One in particular, random enough, happened in high school. I think that was kind of a pivotal change. Like there was that guy in high school that was real elite, real top, and no one really beat him. And that day it happened. I beat him. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. But before that meet, Mom just has her motivational speech. She's kind of giving me all the things, but she was like you're a machine. Like machines don't get tired when you think you're tired. Like just keep pushing. You have it in you. You're very capable. And I think at the end of that race, and most of my races, I think to myself, I think it just comes down to mindset. It's that first 300 meters or that first 3/4 of that race or whatever you run, that's where the training comes in. But that last fourth, that last fifth of that race, that's where the mindset kicks in, and that's just who wants it more. And I think thanks to her, she's really been able to do kind of like to give me that positive reinforcement and put faith in me, I think, and that's her running through me. Her contribution is always that last fourth of the race, and I think that's been her most pivotal impact that has helped me so far.
And you just said, the last fourth, last fifth, those last moments of the race, she comes in there. Do you hear her voice in those moments when you're running and you got just a little bit more to go? Do you ever hear her say something to you? Do you hear her say, "You're a machine. Machines don't get tired"? Do you hear any of that?
Yeah, I think it may not be her voice in particular, but it's definitely her words. I think they carry a great volume, maybe more than she realizes. I swear, sometimes the way she hypes me up, I think she'd be a public speaker. She does a great job.
So shout out to Mom Carrie. Your head coach, Mike Thompson, you said he did not put you on the team. So in the beginning there, You're a walk-on. Bring me into that moment. I mean, we go from walk-on to NCAA bound. We go from walk-on to someone who has All-America honors. I would love to go through that with you, that life of, hey, I want to be on this team. Coach says, hey, I'm not giving you a scholarship. You can walk on to this thing. Just share with us. Let us be a fly on the wall for that. And have you gone up to Coach and told him that he was wrong a few years ago?
Plenty times. He has still not heard the end of it. But it even goes a little bit further back than that. So initially, from high school to my freshman year at college, I knew I wanted to go to Binghamton. So I got in, I was accepted. I was like, great. I was like, well, let's see if I can get the track program as well. So I reached out to Coach Thompson, and hey, very interested. And I actually didn't get a reply. So I was like, jeez, what the heck? So I was I was like, last December, I was like, you know what, let me send one more. So I did it all caps. I said, like, 400-meter hurdler, really interested. And he then sent me off to Coach Fuca, the sprints coach. And he was like, yeah. So he took me on an unofficial visit, kind of toured the facility, saw everything. He was like, hey, you seem to be a really good fit. You're kind of within our parameters. Maybe you like you a bit faster, but you already got into school. Let us know. Great. Sounds good. But at that time, he already gave out, I think he had 4 spots on the team, or I think it was 5. He said, we already gave out all 5. But if one kid says no, you're next in line. We'll be in touch. He's like, yeah, it's very rare that all 5 guys say yes. So, you're likely to be on the team. Great news. I was so excited. Reached out a month later. Hey, anyone say no? No, not yet. All right. Another month. Nope. 2 spots already taken. We're waiting for 3 more guys. And a couple months later, all the spots were taken. So I was like, oh. So now I had a chance. It's real great. It's going. So now I'm going to a school with this bitter taste in my mouth of you're not on the team anymore. So it's like you had a chance, and then it was kind of like slowly taken away from me. So I lived out that first year, freshman year, not being on the team. And I'd see the occasional track athlete here and there, but I was keeping in touch with Coach Fuca, and I was like, it's my goal to be on the team next year. It's going to happen. And he's like, go train on your own, go to meets. And I think it's kind of the routine track coach thing now, that similar story of, just go compete on your own, do better, and, you'll be on the team next year. And people don't typically take it seriously. Well, I did. So I trained in the off season, just kept going. And this is peak COVID, so I think it kind of helped me out a little bit. But I found an indoor track meet in Virginia that March, I believe. Went down, improved greatly in the triple jump. So I had a great PR. I reached back out, called him the next day. I said, hey, had a great meet. Things are going well. And he's like, you know what? Okay. We have a spot for you on the team. Welcome. And even that first year, he saw potential. He saw I really wanted it. He was gunning for another roster spot. But the department wouldn't bud. They said, nope, you're capped. You can't leave on the team. Sorry. So I was like, all right. So I made sure to be on that team next year, and I make a name for myself ever since I was given the opportunity.
Do you feel like, you already had a passion and a love for it, but do you feel like not making the team that first year has lit a fire that's continued to kind of roar strong to this day?
Yeah, I think my success to my first, at least, year and a half on that team was primarily that reason. That was my motivation, was to just prove them wrong. It never feels good to be told no and to face that rejection. So being said that, I was like, you know what? Like, these people belong here. I don't. Let's show them how big of a mistake they made, and, let them feel that. And that was just the driver for that whole season. So all those accolades and those accomplishments, that was just pure dedication, will, and just wanted nothing more to be on that team.
Coming here from Marcus Johnson, telling his story. We're going to get into rapid fire in just a second, but not before we appreciate the fact that you were in the NCAAs last year and this year, 2024, and here in 2025. We're on the heels of you coming off of that. Bring me into your time in the NCAAs, making it to the nation stage and getting All-America honors, and then what you have coming up here with USA Track and Field. Yeah, so NCAAs is, at first I think it could be very more intimidating than first coming off as. I think first year going into it, just made it to the regional meet and going in and seeing all these teams from the East Coast, these big names, and anywhere from like LSU to Florida, you can be training and warming up, and then right next to you is like the reigning champ. So it's a very surreal moment. But I think that first year you got the nerves out. I did okay. I got 25th, but I didn't make the next round, and I didn't make it to nationals. But it gave me something to shoot for that next year. So coming into it, got faster. I was more confident, and I was like, okay, like not only am I capable, but I'm hanging in there. I'm right there. I'm with these guys, and you have to also realize that they're just people just like me. When it comes down to, doesn't matter what colors they're wearing or where they're going to school. Are they working harder than me? End of story. And I made sure of it every day to give 100% of what I had that day for practice, because the reality of it is you can't give 100% of 100% each day. Everyone has an off day,
don't get enough sleep, or a lot of stuff's going on, go into the day, 50% day. If I can give 100% at 50%, still doing what I can, that adds up. So all of it came together, training with one goal in mind, to keep pushing, and thankfully I had enough opportunities, enough of a great season to just be able to go on that stage one more time and feel more confident. What going to day one, wasn't nervous. Day two, the nerves were flowing a little bit, but I made them count, and thankfully it all worked out. Got 7th there and made it to the national stage. Definitely a bit change, different atmosphere. Everyone belongs there. Before, sometimes people might not be the fastest, but everyone there, people are moving. So it was a great way to represent Binghamton, and super thrilled.
And so now with USA track and field, what do you have coming up?
So it's even a larger stage, which I find even hard to believe sometimes. But this is the equivalent of just like the U.S. trials. So anytime there's an Olympic year, say last year, all the Olympians compete. The top 3, they get to represent. We're Team USA, and they head out to Paris. On off years like this year, instead of the Olympics, they have Worlds. So same thing, just not under the rings. So I'll be gone competing in that, and just getting my feet wet, essentially. There's some powerhouses out there. It'd be crazy to compete with, to make it as far, make it to the final. But I think it's going to be more just kind of like get my feet wet, be familiar with the atmosphere, the pressure, and that level of competition. It can be any lane draw, where next to me could be another college athlete, or it could be, Roy Benjamin, like Olympic champion. So it's definitely different.
Do you have the focus and plan of pushing for the Olympics at some point?
I think it would be a disservice to myself to stop now, is how I'll put it. I think you grow even at this point, although my collegiate career is over, I can still be faster. I can still get stronger. So I feel like if I don't go out swinging, or at least give it a shot, I think I need to kind of narrow things down and see how the balance of life and track and school, or not school, but work kind of balance out. But I think it would be something fun to try out for.
Coming here from Marcus Johnson, a disservice to himself if he doesn't try. I like the way you put that. Let's jump into rapid fire. You and I get to put each other on the hot seat. We could talk about literally any topic in the world. You can ask me anything. I can ask you anything. You get to ask me the first question, Marcus. What do you got?
Let's see. You got any hot takes? Anything crazy that people might look at you funny for?
Oh, man. Well, I think I've had them. I think, saying I picked Syracuse to win the men's Division I NCAA tournament in 2003, I was laughed at. I said my Toronto Raptors I trusted that they would win a championship. I was told it would never, ever happen, but I've been a fan, and I was always going to be a fan no matter what. And they won in 2019. I'm a Diamondback fan. They won in 2001. I'm a Duck fan in hockey. They won in 2007. I'm Italian and Spanish. They have won World Cups and Euros in my lifetime. So I would say I've had hot takes over time. Do I have any now in this moment? I guess I would say maybe in baseball the Tampa Bay Rays could make the postseason. And I would look at that, and I would say that the Mets have a shot of going to the World Series. Maybe those would be hot takes at this point in the year. But, yeah, I've had a lot over the years that people would think I'm nuts, and I'm still waiting for apology letters and flowers. I don't know why they haven't come to me, Marcus.
There you go.
My question back to you, if you took over my show for the day, and it's Wake Up Call with Marcus Johnson, who are your 3 guests? Anybody in the world, and I want to know why.
Anybody in the world? Man, that's a good question. I'd have to put an athlete in there somewhere. Who I might pick? I might pick the Tyreek Hill. I might pick Tyree Hill. Okay. I'd love to pick his brain. I feel like he's bringing a very interesting point to track. I feel like a lot of people understand football, and I go to some random person's street and they know I run track. What's your 40 time? What's your mile time? The understanding of track to the daily life other than the Olympics is very little. So the fact that he's bragging and boasting about beating the reigning Olympic champion is pretty bold. So I think which is bringing good attention to it. I think it's bringing a different fan base into it. So I'll definitely talk to him.
Okay.
The other two, man, that's maybe an artist of some kind. I feel like a music artist. I think that'd be kind of fun. Just kind of a different type of challenge and struggle. I feel like that is they both reached a goal that's kind of like on the upper echelon. So maybe like a rap artist, maybe like a Travis Scott. That's putting a lot of faith into yourself in a career that can go south real fast. So I think that would be quite interesting. And then I just throw a random one in there. I'll just throw my little brother. He's 10. I think he'd have a fun time with it. I think right now I think it's really cool for him to see, like, I was on TV and all these other little things. And my mom sent me a picture of him and his friend running on the track the other day. So I think I'm a big inspiration to him. So I think just giving back to him, throwing him some questions, I think he'd really enjoy that.
Okay. I like that. I can respect it. Do you have a musical person that you would pick specifically?
I'm a big rap R&B guy. So maybe Travis Scott, Don Toliver, something like that.
Okay. All right. What's your last question for me? You got one more. What do you have?
All right. You going anywhere in the world right now, free of charge? Where are you going? What are you doing?
I'm probably going to. So there's a couple ones that I would answer in the past. So I'm gonna pick something different. It's something I've said before, but I'm gonna go maybe a little bit deeper into it. I would go to Hawaii, and I would go to, which I realized is actually pronounced Hawaii. So you got to say it a little different, but I would definitely go there. I love the water. I feel like I was born in Atlantis. So I would want to go be in that clear water. I love being on the beach. I love, home cooking that's to the culture. So I would love to really get to know people that are living there on the island and what they care about, what their story is, what they love to make. And then I would love to just be there with them and kind of share in their history and their family. And it would be as much an educational trip as it would be relaxing.
I like that. Very good.
Thank you. My question back to you. If we had to make one song lyric, just one sentence, that would be a description for Marcus Johnson, what would we say?
I don't know. I think it'd have to be some with the play on words of Journey. That's the Instagram handle, just Journey and Johnson. So it has to some like Journey Never Stops, something like that. Not very much of a lyricist myself. I'm especially put on the spot, but something about the journey. I think that's also been kind of the motto this year, and people have, just call me Journey once in a while, but given that everything's kind of ending, they're like, oh, the journey's done. But I'm like, nah, like the story's done. This chapter's done, but the journey never ends.
Yeah, so I like that. This chapter's done, but the journey never ends. That would be a good line for you, Marcus Johnson. I'm going to stick with calling you the Binghamton Flash. Are you okay with that? And do you have another nickname?
No, that's a great name. It's either that, Marcus, Journey, but yeah. I like the Binghamton Flash. I'll start spreading that one around.
Yeah, I like the Binghamton Flash. I'm going to use that hashtag, especially when we're talking about you here on the show. Marcus Johnson here, Bearcat Breakroom, inside of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University. Here from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Marcus, safe travels to the USATF, and you and I will be keeping in touch. And for all of you out here, please understand that you think he's been sitting here the whole time, but he's had 3 bathroom breaks. The Binghamton Flash, you will never see him move, but you will always know that he was there. Thanks, Marcus. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Brian and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Brian and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Brian's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Brian's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Here is a special message from Brian Bruno, owner of Servomation Refreshments Incorporated.
I grew up in the family business. Had the experience of working for a national food service company with thousands of employees, and as much as I enjoyed the experience I had, there was something about owning my own company and being able to change the things I saw wrong with the industry firsthand, which is why I moved back to my hometown in Canastota, New York, to launch Servomation. It was back in 2007. When we first started the business in 2007, really you didn't find any machines with credit card readers. There was a lack of variety in machines. You got stuck with basically whatever the vending company wanted to sell that day. There's a lot of inefficiencies in the business, and those were all things that we saw as opportunities, both from a customer level to improve and from an operating level to be more efficient. We've really been at the forefront of introducing retail technology into our space. We were doing self-checkout back in 2009 before it really became a national phenomenon. The whole point of it isn't to just improve the customer experience. It's to make it feel more like a retail environment where people don't have to be afraid of what they're buying behind glass. They don't have to be afraid of not being able to see the ingredients of the packages. It was an easy transaction from that standpoint. If we were to reinvent something, we wanted to make sure what we were making looked and felt more like a deli and not like something that you would traditionally see in a vending machine. I was tired of hearing for years the customers say the wheel of death because the vending machine would circle around with the same tuna salad in it. What we wanted to do was it really change the perception of that food. So allowing customers to touch it, allowing customers to feel the weight of it, allowing customers to see the freshness of it, and also the variety of it really helps them change the perception and ultimately the value of what we bring to them. The point of differentiation you have to make is either in value or the quality. And I think on both of those fronts, Servomation has really, in large part, changed that value system for employees. So they no longer have to worry about bringing their food from home or having to leave their desk during the day and rush out to get back in time for their break to end. We're bringing something that they can count on in their break room every day, and they know it's going to be there, they know it's going to be fresh, and they don't have to worry about it being sold out or something that they don't enjoy. We've also heavily invested in flavored water machines, so you can get a glass of water with a fresh piece of fruit in it, along with bean to cup coffee machines. So there's not a day that goes by we're not surprised when we get customers that call us and say, we didn't know you could do all this. We're really lucky to have a strong group of dedicated employees. Most of our employees have been with us since inception. They're family to us, and people like doing business with people they like and trust. And I think the same thing goes for employees. In a day and an age where there's a lot of corporations that just look at an employee as a number and don't get to know them, that's just not the way I was raised or how I like to do business. So we're a little old-fashioned. We like getting close to our employees. We like knowing how we can help them. We like knowing how we can improve their lives, adjust their schedules, whatever it may be to help improve their quality of life. And we think in the end that makes for a happier employee. We're fortunate enough to have really grown over the last several years, and from Pennsylvania to Massachusetts to Connecticut, we really do have a strong connection, even though we're not in the rooms every day with these employees. There's not one single employee that we feel like we don't know, and certainly we know they can call us at any time, and they're definitely treated as family to us. I wake up every single day really excited to surprise our customers in a good way. The one thing I can tell you is I think that every one of our employees and every one of our customers will continue to be at the forefront of every decision we make.
Find out how Servomation can help you and your business by going to servomation.com.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being with us here up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. You're with us on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. I want to thank everybody that tuned in to my conversation with Scottie Rodgers, as well as my conversation with Marcus Johnson, who is just featured here on the broadcast in an all-new Bearcat Breakroom inside of our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University and the Bearcats. So thanks to Scottie Rodgers and Marcus Johnson. It's time for our final piece of our Tuesday broadcast, and you know on Tuesdays we end with the ingredients to success. The ingredients to success, proudly presented by Avicolli's on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York. They're also our home for our monthly Liverpool athletic broadcasts, and we just had an alum of Liverpool High School and the athletic world on the show from Avicolli's, And that broadcast that we got to do last week featured Bryce Mills. Bryce Mills, who was a student and an athlete at Liverpool High School for the Warriors, and has gone on to be a professional boxer with a record of 19-1. We got to feature him right down the street from his alma mater at Avicolli's this past week. And you can go back and watch that video on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage by clicking on any one of our outlets. And of course, you could find it by going to facebook.com/wakeupcalldt. So we appreciate you being here and appreciate you being a part of the broadcast Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And of course, for our on-site events like we had at Avicolli's this past week and that we have every month at Avicolli's, including the event that we just had last night at Pizza Man Pub featuring Malik Burks, another individual who did great things in our community as a student athlete and has moved forward into the next chapter of their lives. And so we got to feature Malik Burks at Pizza Man of Baldwinsville Bees running back history last night, and last week, Bryce Mills of Liverpool Warriors history, now a professional boxer, and Malik Burks now working as a salesperson at Great Lakes Honda City, and the person that was involved in selling me my newest vehicle. So much appreciation to both gentlemen, and always love being able to tell the stories of the men and women that make up our community. Today, inside of Avicolli's Ingredients to Success, we have the topic, outside noise. Well, I tell you this all the time, but it's true. And it's something I just said to myself one day and it stuck. Outside noise, by definition, belongs outside. What other people say about us, what they think of us, how they describe us, all that stuff, outside noise belongs outside. And this is something to truly use in your daily life. Why? Because if you listen to that outside noise, sometimes that outside noise is going to sing your praises. Tell you how great you are, how amazing you are, how you have no failures, you can't do anything wrong. And having that outside noise sometimes is not great, because it could put you in a position where you start thinking of yourself as better than everybody else, as more important than everybody else, buying into your own hype, and maybe not regarding other people as being as important as you. So this could be a danger zone, right? That outside noise, if we take that outside noise and say, we're amazing, everybody else is terrible. Or if we lean on the outside noise in general, when it's good, we feel good. When it's not so good, we feel bad. So there's a lot of different things to kind of break down with outside noise. If it's positive, that's great. It's a wonderful thing to have positive reaffirmation, right? Reinforcement. But when you rely on the outside noise to constantly make you feel good, what happens when that outside noise turns negative? What happens when that outside noise starts to scrutinize you? What happens when that outside noise is not positive? It's not uplifting. It's not constructive criticism, it's destructive. What happens when that outside noise is jealous, conniving, ignorant, illogical, irrational, selfish, self-seeking, jealous? Outside noise are the things that people say about you. Now, we have all been in a place, or we will be at some point in our lives in a place where somebody says something about us and it hurts our feelings. And we think about it. Sometimes we may question ourselves because of it. We may start to beat up on ourselves because of it. We think we're really good at what we do. We're proud of what we do. and we believe in ourselves. We're confident, not cocky. We're confident. And then somebody's like, you suck at your job. You're terrible at your job. I wouldn't do the job the same way that you do it. You don't do this right. You don't say this right. I hate your voice. I hate the way you carry yourself. I hate what you wear. And that'll get under your skin at some point and make you sad. Well, should I be wearing what I'm wearing? Should I be doing what I'm doing? Should I be living the way I'm living? You start to hear those outside voices and you start thinking to yourself, what if they're right? What if I'm not that great? What if I'm not doing a good job? What if I'm not enough? I can promise you that when you start second-guessing yourself, beating up on yourself, that doesn't mean constructively criticizing you, because sometimes you have to take a step back and you have to think about what you're saying and doing, right? You have to think about why you might feel a certain way or why you are thinking a certain way. You might want to just check in with yourself, and that's fine. What I'm saying is, I'm talking about people that are coming after you in an effort to either tell you directly or tell you through someone or through a vehicle something negative about you that will trip you up, right? You're running a race, just like Marcus, right? And instead of your voice talking positively to you, it's either your voice talking negatively to you or you're hearing somebody else's negativity, right? If Marcus heard that while he was running, he might slow down. He might veer off. He might trip himself. Because mentally, if you are hard on yourself, it will affect everything else. The way you think about yourself mentally, and be it positive or negative, you can make yourself sick. Your mind can tell your body it's sick. Your mind can tell your body it's frozen. It can't move. Your mind can literally tell your body whatever it wants to tell it, and your body will believe it if you let that happen. Positive and negative. Now your mind tells your body, hey, you got energy. You can fly. You're superhuman. You got this. You're going to do it. You get out there running when it's 91 degrees outside, feeling great about yourself. Then your mind could tell your body, hey, you're paralyzed. You're frozen in time. You can't do anything right. You're old. You're weak. And now all of a sudden your body feels fragile and you feel like you're walking through quicksand, that the air is thick because your mind told your body that. The things that you say to yourself, your body will react to that. And I know that because I've lived it. You speak positivity upon your life, your body will respond positively. You speak negatively upon your life, your body will respond in a negative manner. It's just reality. Your mind is a very powerful tool, and it's a very dangerous weapon. And you have to decide which it's going to be for you, a powerful tool or a dangerous weapon. And outside noise, if they're cheering for you, right, that might feel great. But if you live for the cheers, what happens if you tell a joke and nobody claps or cheers? What if you make a movie and you go to the theater and nobody's crying in the emotional moments, nobody's laughing in the funny moments, and they don't clap at the end of the movie? What if you are by yourself in a room and nobody says hello to you, nobody wants to sit with you, and you're eating by yourself? Can you live through people not liking you, people not understanding you, people not respecting you, people not noticing you, people not caring about you? Can you live through that? That is a question that we all have to ask ourselves. You have to be able to navigate through a world that is not always going to like you, not always going to pat you on the back, not always going to cheer for you, not always going to tell you how great you are. If you live for the outside noise, if you live for the accolades and the awards and the recognition and the constant cheering and claps, you are going down a dangerous path, a path that may suffocate you. Because even the best actors and actresses don't always get the laughs. and don't always get the claps. Even the best painters don't always get to paint in the world's most renowned museums or places to visit. Even the best teachers cannot always get through to every student. Even the best coaches with the best intentions don't necessarily win championships. Dan Marino's a really good quarterback. Never won a Super Bowl. Reggie Miller's a really good basketball player. Never won an NBA title. Mike Trout is a really good baseball player. He's been in the playoffs once in over a decade. That's it. And they didn't win a World Series. So what you have to understand is that people are always going to have opinions about you. And the more people that know you, the more opinions are going to be out there. The more outside noise. And when it's good, it's great. When it's not good, it can be debilitating, decapitating. So you have to make a decision. Will your life rely on people cheering for you and putting you on their shoulders? Because if that's the case, every time they don't, you're going to feel like you were dropped on the floor. Is your life going to be led by the boos and the harassment and the negativity of others? In that case, you will be depressed most of the time. Outside noise, by definition, belongs outside. Again, that is a quote that I said to myself, and it resonated with me. And it helped me through a lot, and it continues to. Outside noise, by definition, belongs outside. So what are the ingredients to success in dealing with outside noise? Number one, don't let your success be based on how many people cheer for you and how loud they cheer. Number two, don't consider yourself a failure if people do not cheer, or they boo, or they hate you, or they say mean things on social media, or whatever that may be. Number three, understand that if you give the best that you possibly can, and you do it in such a way where you are moral and ethical, and you can put your head on the pillow at night, do not apologize for the person that you are. Do not apologize to anybody. If you do things with goodness in your heart, kindness, morals, ethics, and you never seek to hurt anyone, you don't have to go out here and tell people that you're sorry for being who you are. Number four, don't dim your light, going off of number three. If somebody else is ripping on themselves, they can't find their talent, they don't know what they're interested in, they don't know what is their dream, right? Or dreams, and they're struggling. Don't let that person's struggle come to you and rip into your life. Don't let that person's negative talk to themselves become negative talk to you. Don't let that person feeling like they haven't made it in their world to make you feel like you haven't or you can't. Do not dim your light. I will never forget sitting at a table with my ex's sister. She said, you can sing, you own your own company, you broadcast, you do impressions. Is there literally anything, you make people laugh? Is there literally anything you can't do? And in that moment, it was like, she's not happy with herself. She thinks you have too many talents to my liking. I don't have those things, or I don't have all of those things. So how dare you be in my presence and make me feel like I'm less of a person because you can do a lot of things and I don't think I can do those things. That is not my problem, how you view yourself. I do not view you as someone who cannot offer to the world. I've had plenty of conversations to build you up and never tear you down. And I remember sitting at the table that day going, should I not sing? Should I not do this? Should I pretend? If God has given me 5 talents that I am working with every day, should I use 4 to make her feel better? Should I use 1 and leave the other 4? Pretend like they're not there? Should I downplay what I'm doing? Should I negative talk myself? Should I quiet my own voice? Change how I interact with people? Because if she's in the room for the rest of my life and I start singing, she might go, oh, here we go. Here's Mr. Dan that can sing and dance and da-da-da-da-da. Don't dim your light for other people. Because there was a moment in my life around that time where I started to dim things. And then I didn't feel the same. There wasn't the same strength in my voice. There wasn't the same... I just felt different. I didn't feel like me. I didn't feel right. Because I tried to appease her. And what I ended up doing was like feeling like I cut a portion of my vocal cord. Don't ever do that to yourself. Don't ever cut off your voice in any capacity. Be it singing, speaking, whisper, just talking, just being in your life, just talking to people. Right? Or for those that are deaf, sign language, right? That's your language. That's the way that you speak to people. Don't dim your light. Don't ever dim your light. But there is that level of guilt when somebody comes up to you and goes, well, you can do this and you could do that and your life is just great. And the funny thing is, that was my ex's sister. My actual ex, she's the one. I come home and I say, you know, babe, I got a new partnership. I'm working with a new company. I'm really excited. I just got a new credential. And she, oh, that must be nice. Must be nice that you got that. I'm sitting at home struggling. I'm sitting at home hating my life. I'm sitting at home dealing with all this stuff. But good for you. Must be nice that you got this and you got that. While I sit here and I flounder. I remember those conversations. Because there were times in my life, like those 2 times that I mentioned, where I felt guilty for being proud of myself. I felt guilty for having what I deemed success in my life. I felt guilty for the gifts that I felt like God gave me. Gifts that I've loved my whole life. If I stop singing, I'm not myself. If I stop making people laugh, I'm not myself. Like, those are things that have been with me pretty much my whole life. For as long as I can remember, I loved making people smile, making people laugh. I loved singing. I remember going in to see my Gammy Miller, my dad's mom, and walking in the front door and being right there by the door and singing in the doorway to her. I was 3. I'm 39 now. And any time that I've stopped singing or, you know, tried to minimize my personality or silence myself, I remember those moments vividly. I remember coming home to my ex-wife and the things that she would say when I was really excited to tell her something. I remember that day at the dinner table with her sister. I remember so many different moments where, I remember one of my so-called friends introduced me to a room full of strangers as, this is my buddy Dan. He talks way too much. And I sat there for 2 hours, barely said a word. And when people were leaving, they're like, yeah, you know, nice to meet you, I guess. Like, we thought, you know, it'd be more fun and this and that. Like, kind of like, you know, your friend told us all about you and we were really excited to meet you. And so I guess they expected more personality, more fun, and not just a guy who's sitting there. After you introduce me as the guy who talks too much, with all due respect, I don't feel comfortable, but I don't even want to be here. You know, I go back to that moment, and to this day, you know, I feel the same way of just like walking up to him and going, if this is how you describe me and this is how you disrespect me in public, I don't know what you say behind my back, and I have no desire to be in your house because this is not a place where I feel welcome, where I feel appreciated, and where I feel like, you know, I'm valued. So I'm out. I'm not sitting around here. And, you know, to me, that's just something that I'm never going to appreciate being talked to that way. And I never forgot that. And I didn't hold a grudge. I just never forgot that. Because when people show you who they are, believe them. And later on in our friendship, when I tried to, you know, be close with him again, he found other ways to show me he didn't respect me. So he never said that again, but he did and said things that showed, hey, this guy who rubbed you the wrong way, who really didn't seem to respect or appreciate you and talked down about you, he's still the same guy. And when we were both single and talking to the same girl that was like out in the water, we just happened to be out somewhere for the 4th of July. It makes you kind of go back and think now and say, when he introduced me as the guy who talks too much, was that a way of trying to make me uncomfortable because he didn't want me to be what he thought was the attention grabber? So if he could quiet me, then he could grab the attention and he could be the center of attention because he needs that. And then fast forward to the girl and competing with me for that girl's attention like he thought he was competing with me for his friend's attention. So maybe this man's just been saying stuff to try and get under my skin to get me to change or to get me to drop out and fall away so that he can get the girl and he can have those people. What he doesn't realize is people make up their own minds and their own decisions. And even if you make me feel some type of way and I allow you to make me feel uncomfortable, that doesn't mean that girl's going to like you. And it doesn't mean that these people that came to your house are going to be like, oh my gosh, you know, this guy is X, Y, and Z. Just because I'm quiet doesn't mean that even without me in the room, you're going to hold that room. People that belittle people in order to get control of a room or a situation, they're admitting to you that they don't believe that they're enough. Like if they went up and everybody was at full go, full strength in this world, they don't believe that they'll get the job. They don't believe they'll get the girl or the guy. They don't believe that they'll make that acquaintance and that friendship. They think their only way to do it is to take people out that they consider a threat. And outside noise is exactly that. He was outside noise. My ex was outside noise. Her sister was outside noise. They try to eliminate a threat in order to feel better about themselves. Well, if this person stops succeeding, then it doesn't put a focus on the fact that I don't feel like I'm succeeding in my life. If I can dim their light, then I don't have to focus on the fact that I don't think mine is that bright. And that's reality. That is the reality. People who utilize their words and actions to try and diminish your light, that outside noise, is done to get rid of competition, to take ships out of the water. Because their mentality is not that they're the strongest ship. Their mentality is if they're the only ship, then they'll be successful. If they are the only ship, that's the only time that they think that they're actually going to win. By being the only one that's out there. People that utilize their words and their actions to diminish, dim, or discredit your light that God put in you are seeking to take you and everybody else off the battlefield so that they can win. Because if there's no competition for them, well, then they'll be victorious. Not because they worked hard, not because they were good at it, not because they tried, not because they believe in themselves, not because they're positive, not because of morals and ethics and couth, but simply because they're the only one left. And what they'll realize is, even when they're the only one left in the room, it still doesn't mean that they're the best person for that. It just means that they're the last one in the room. And being the last one in the room or the only one in the room doesn't mean that you're the one that was the best choice. And they might find out, hey, if they get rid of all their competition, if they're sitting there in the waiting room for a job and they get everyone to negative talk themselves and feel bad for themselves and get down on themselves, so they all go in and blow the interview, that still doesn't mean that they're going to hire that person, because they're going to sit down with you. And even if you got all your competition to second guess themselves and to not feel good, it still doesn't mean that you're good for the job. Just because you're the only one left doesn't mean that you're the right one. Just because you're the only person left at the bar doesn't mean that I want to take you home. Number one, I ain't taking you nowhere if I meet you that day. I'm going to talk to you, and you're going to go home, and I'm going to go home. Because I'm a classy man, and I want a classy woman. Life is about muffling the outside noise. If everyone going to shoot a free throw in a basketball game listened to the outside noise and let it get under their skin, most people would miss the shot. If kickers listen to the outside noise and the boos and the harassment, they might miss the field goal. You hear athletes say all the time that they can muffle sound. They can drown out the noise. They don't even hear it anymore, good or bad, because they're so locked in. You have to live life that way. Be locked in. Hear the cheers and the boos the same, because you need to be yourself, your authentic self. As long as you're not hurting anybody, you need to be yourself regardless of what this world thinks of you and how this world treats you. This world killed my and your Savior. If they can kill God incarnate in man, a perfect human being, a flawless and sinless human being, if the world can kill the Lord, then why are you surprised if they're not always nice to you? Jesus dealt with outside noise all the way to the cross, but he still got there. And Jesus had the final word, didn't he, when he rose from the dead? Jesus was laid in a tomb by himself. Jesus was ostracized, disrespected. Before Jesus was even born, there was the notion and the reality that he might be killed, that there is a king seeking to find these babies and to murder them. Before Jesus was even born of the Virgin Mary, there was a bounty on his head. Why, if perfection is threatened, attacked, assaulted, belittled, words are taken out of context, actions are taken out of context, lies are told, if Jesus can be treated all of those ways, why are you surprised when people try to make a victim out of you, attack you, discredit you, disparage you, lie about you, steal from you, plagiarize from you, attack you, negative talk you, yell at you, scream at you? Why are you surprised when this world does wrong by you when you're trying to do right by it? When the God that I believe in and many of you believe in walked that same path and had to die in order to fulfill his mission. Outside noise, by definition, belongs outside. If Jesus Christ could bear it and bear a cross, you can bear social media, words, actions. You may not like them, and I'm not saying that they don't hurt at times, but if Jesus Christ can bear a cross and be a perfect human, God incarnate, and still have to hear it and see it and keep going, then you can hear it and see it and keep going. Never give up. This world is not about pleasing them. It is between you and God. Well, Dan, you're an entertainer. You have to please people. I don't do my job to please people. I don't schedule my interviews to please people. I schedule these interviews because I want to talk to these people. I build partnerships with people that I believe in, the people I like, people that I trust, people that I value. businesses that I go to. I don't surround myself. When I have the opportunity, there are rooms that I'm in sometimes where I have no choice who's in that room. And then there are times where I have a choice who's in that room. And when I have a choice who's in that room, trust, I am not picking negative, hateful, disparaging, delusional, irrational, illogical, hateful, negative people. I am surrounding myself with strong, wonderful people. People that, I said this last night, I like being in rooms where I'm not the smartest person, because why would I not want to challenge myself to be better every single day? I love learning. I love hearing that there's somebody out there and their story, and I'm like, wow, that person is a fantastic person with a great soul. I need to step it up. When I hear beautiful stories about people that I think are doing life better than me, it encourages me to become a better person. It doesn't disparage me. It ignites me. It fuels me. It reminds me that there are things I do right and there's things that I need to get better at. Don't ever give up. It is between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. Remember that prayer? Mother Teresa. Don't forget it. The ingredients to success, today's topic, outside noise, coming to you from Avicolli's. Go and visit Avicolli's today and every day of the week by going to 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, right down the street from Liverpool High School. And it is the monthly home of our Liverpool broadcast with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni. You can catch all of our specials by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and facebook.com/wakeupcalldt. And you can catch all the specials for Avicolli's by going to myavicollis.com and checking out the menu. That's myavicollis.com. You can go there and order online for takeout, delivery, and catering. Call 315-622-5100. 315-622-5100. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. We'll be right back right after this. Avicolli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicolli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicolli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York is your one-stop trading card and sports card shop. You can find them Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6, and on Sundays open from 10 to 5. They are closed on Mondays. Definitely appreciate all the work that they do at GG Cards and Breaks. It starts with Josh and Anthony, and it trickles throughout the entire team at GG Cards and Breaks. A wonderful atmosphere where you get to be yourself, you get to be a big kid, and you get to go and have fun and just live in that spirit, right? That spirit of, to me, when I was 9 years old and going to get cards with my mom and my grandmas, I go back and I look at those moments and then I think to myself, hey, you know what? When I go get cards now, I still feel like that. I still feel that connection. And part of it is because, my mom still will go out with me and she'll say, pick a pack of cards, honey, and she'll still go over and rub the pack of cards for good luck and hand it to me and gets excited just like she used to about me opening the cards. And so when you have those moments, spend those with people that you love and spend your hard-earned money in a place that truly cares about you, cares about this community, does right by the community, and goes above and beyond in work that you will never see, to just really bring it on home to us and help us to feel welcomed, appreciated, respected, and valued. GG Cards and Breaks is so much more than a sports card and trading card shop, and I value what they do and how they do it. Go and see them today. Let them know that DT sent you. DT to GG. How about that? 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, we appreciate you being with us Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, even though it's 11:51. So happy to be here with you, youtube.com and facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. Appreciate you for being here Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Of course, we jump into the archives, and there's already something new in there for you on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Podchaser.com, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Make sure to subscribe and follow when you are there. Big time thanks to our incredible team of partners in Central and Upstate New York, Great Lakes Honda City, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Mon Paz, the snack capital of the world, Avicolli's, Mother's Cupboard, Servomation, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Pizza Man, Brian's Landing. Many thanks as well down in North Carolina, from New York to North Carolina. The Brooklyn Pickle is in Southern Pines. You will find them on 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. And you can connect with the Brooklyn Pickle. Let them know that DT sent you. It's right by Pinehurst Golf Course down in Southern Pines, North Carolina. A fantastic place to go. Their half sandwich is a whole sandwich. Their whole sandwich is 2 sandwiches. So you definitely are getting so much more than you bargained for. The food is fantastic. And I absolutely love the fact that we can call Brooklyn Pickle a piece of Central New York history, and that down in Southern Pines, they get to experience what we've had the blessing of experiencing for so many years up here. Southern Pines, 1788 Old Morganton Road. Go and see the Brooklyn Pickle. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. You will find the Dolphins every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time during Dolphin Time. You will find the Dolphins, student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni right here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. You can go to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our Lemoyne Dolphins playlist. You will also find the Dolphins on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LemoyneDolphins.com and fins up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bobcats every single month with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni joining me throughout the year to tell their incredible stories of an incredible school that has a unique approach to athletics, provides an opportunity that if you still have eligibility left and maybe you never went to school or you took some time off, you have an opportunity to be in the classroom and on the courts and fields of life at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. And the job placement success rate has been wonderful. And I'm very excited of all the growth that they've had over the years. So the Bryan and Stratton Syracuse connection to our community, providing a unique approach, a unique opportunity, and to some people, a second chance or a first chance at their collegiate experience. So Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse, definitely worth looking into and taking a chance that could change your entire trajectory of your future for the better. Find the Bobcats on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. And make sure you click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find the BSC Syracuse playlist. The Bobcats are also on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bearcats every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time during Bearcat Time. Student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni telling their stories right here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in such a way that you won't find quite like this anywhere else. The Bearcats are on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our Binghamton playlist. You also find the Bearcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to binghamtonbearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', I want to thank my guests, Scottie Rodgers of the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, their VP of Communications, and all the places that he's worked over the years. Congratulations to him for winning the Trailblazer Award for the wonderful, wonderful career that he has had and the work that he has done, and also going in to the College Sports Communicators Hall of Fame. So the College Sports Communicators putting him into the Hall of Fame in 2025 as part of the class, as well as also in 2025 presenting him with an award named after Mary Jo Haverbeck, the Trailblazer Award, and him knowing Mary Jo, all too poetic. And if you know anything about Scottie, things just seem to connect, right? Everything comes full circle. It does that in the world of sports and in life in general. So a shout out to Scottie Rodgers, a congratulations on his accomplishments and the fact that he has miles to go before he sleeps and promises to keep. Many thanks to Marcus Johnson. Speaking of miles to go before he sleeps and promises to keep, this man is a track star, and he made it to the NCAAs for the second year in a row at Binghamton University, and he now has an opportunity with the USA Track and Field Outdoor Championships, and he will not be done after that. He would like to think that this is simply part of the journey, and the journey continues. His Instagram is Journey of Johnson, fittingly, and I'm wearing my Journey shirt today because God is all too poetic. So shout out to Marcus Johnson, and I'm excited to see what this journey will bring, and I'm already proud of you, buddy. And many thanks to Avicolli's for the ingredients to success, focusing on outside noise, belonging outside by definition. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. If you weren't able to come to our live show last night with Malik Burks from Pizza Man Pub, you can check it out on our social media and more. And of course, from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, I hope you have a beautiful, wonderful day. G-Mama, happy Celebration Day. We miss you, but you will always be with us until we get to meet again. I cannot say enough words, and I don't really know the words to adequately describe the best human being that I've ever met. Your kindness, your goodness, your grace, your patience, your perseverance, your determination, your love, your honesty, your truthfulness, your joy, your positivity, your smile, your laugh, your kiss, your warm hugs, your time, your energy. Your grandson loves you, appreciates you, and I thank you for being next to God, right under God, the guiding light in my life. I love you dearly. I miss you completely. And I hope I've made you proud in some way, shape, or form still. I love you, G. With that being said, have a wonderful day. God bless. No stress. Do your best. Stay safe and be well, everybody. We'll talk soon.